Hello, and welcome back to the ARK of E podcast. My name is Noah.
And my name is Gav.
And we're the Blanchard brothers, back with you to take a deep dive into the shimmering, shining seas of streaming.
Yes.
And so forth. This is a big old summer TV spectacular. Yeah, this is part 2 of our previous conversation where we tackled some of the biggest blockbuster releases of the summer.
Yes.
And movies are dead now. I mean, they're doing well, but nothing I'm too excited for quite a while. So we figured let's take a look back.
If
Some
things
people
don't go well, we're not going to get anything for a while.
Well, yeah, that's the looming thing, and we're
only going to get A24 releases.
Exactly.
Yes.
Maybe we'll tease basically our plans, given the fact that the slate currently doesn't look great, and if some stuff drops off in the fall, we have a really weird, what would normally be the award season. But it's gonna, we'll see what happens. Everything's kind of up in the air.
Maybe they could give it to Tom Cruise.
Apparently, there's a new I don't. As soon as this weekend, I think there was a new meeting happening for the first time. I don't know. I haven't seen any movement. But
well, what I read was that if it lasts the amount of time that the last one, not like the big one in the 80s, but the one before this lasted.
In the early 2000s,
right,
yeah.
The early writer's strike, that it would pretty much, which I think that was just writers at that point. I believe
so, yes.
I don't know if SAG joined it. But that, you're right, around this time, the 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere in there, it wouldn't, if it was going to last the same amount of time, it would have either be up by now or around this time was when it would get resolved.
Right.
And obviously we just joked about A24. We know they have stepped up and said, yeah, dude, we'll do it. We'll meet your demands, which I'm hoping that's like, come on, if this little, I'm sorry, A24 is still little as far as I'm concerned. This little studio can say, yeah, dude, we'll do what you want. We'll meet your demands. Like, come work with us. I don't understand why Fortune 500s can't do it. The mouse just doesn't want to come out and play.
Exactly. They just don't want to. But, I mean, my hope is, just a couple of other indies, like maybe Neon and a couple others follow suit with A24, and then we just get a bunch of cool, smaller movies because with big old movie stars in them. That would be fun.
I know that I watched, Bryan Cranston talk out about, Bob Iger and Disney and whatnot, but I'm wondering, do these production houses, these big companies, Paramount, all that, are they in a league with each other, or can they not come to negotiate, or is it like we're not negotiating with anybody, we're doing it, this is a flat thing, you can't come individually?
I think
that's where I'm confused.
Yeah, I think some of them are conglomerated together
in
terms of their
Paramount,
negotiating and everything, and that's what I think. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I think there's been some reporting of that where it's Netflix was the holdout on this issue, so they circle back to the table, singling out specific entities within the studio side that were maybe more problematic than others in terms of negotiation. Mm-hmm. But it's they all have to get on the same page before they can, I don't know. We'll see what happens with all of that. But we have a vague plan basically to get us through to our favorite time of the year, Arctober. But we'll let you know what we're planning for the back half of the summer and most of September. Okay. Television.
Yes.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I feel like the big thing in the room has got to be The Idol.
The big elephant that we teased at the end of last episode. I guess the question is, do we want to start on common ground and discuss a show that we both like, and then just do a nice little Idol sandwich with it in the middle? And then come back around to something else that we also like quite a bit. My thought, just from the top, I guess it kind of spoils our thoughts overall, but my thought is Bear, seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Then The Idol.
Yeah.
Then Gemstones.
Because it's the 3rd season of Gemstones.
Well, yeah, and then we have the HBO pairing
that's why I was thinking
into each
Idol,
other. I also had a fan...
Bear 1 and 2. Gemstones 3. That's what I was in my head. But no, we can do whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
I mean, we could.
I can
too.
defend The Idol at a drop of a hat. Doesn't matter.
Then let's drop that hat. Fuck it. Let's do it live. And yeah, I mean, that was my biggest question. The majority of the time, I mean, I had a lot of questions while I was watching all 5 episodes of the show, but my biggest one was I need to know, like, because I knew you were gonna love it.
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna come in being like, it's great. And I guess why and what did you like about it, and what did you find of value or redeeming quality in those 5 episodes of television that I will just preface by saying again feels like they came and went. Like when it was happening, it was like it felt like everybody and their mother was just like, this is the end of Western civilization as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as it was over, it feels like everybody collectively was like, oh, okay.
We're still here.
Yeah. Well, and also just like, yeah, that was kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And we can forget about it now. And then I feel like there's been no conversation, and quietly, like, you know, I don't know that it hasn't been, they haven't said one way or the other on season 2. Obviously, everything's in a holding pattern. Right. Because of the strike, etc. But yeah, that's a great place to start. What did you love about or like about The Idol, Gavin Blanchard?
So, the main thing that I like as a whole, if I'm trying to break it down as a whole, is the idea. To me, it shows like what, I'm not going to say it's the realest thing as like true to life when it comes to like that that medium, music. But to me, everything that's in it showcasing like the starlet, the, you know, the writer's block, the need to like find a muse, when you find the muse doing whatever you think you need to like keep it, the ultimate like wanting to be on top and fame and glory of it all, but for what reasons, you know? And to your point about like nobody talking about it right now, I feel like that show, if you're looking at it as like a quote unquote pop star, that can happen to like anyone. Again, in the story, our character is a like a Britney Spears, like a pop girl who's been on top since she was a child. Obviously, like maybe some sort of like, I'm not going to say Disney show to start off with, but like maybe like a mix of like Britney Spears, Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus, something to that nature. But she's gotten so far with her mom at the helm. And then we're meeting her where her mom is gone. It's caused a lot of like emotional issues, and she's had to stop a tour. And now it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to get back on the horse and like do the thing that the studio wants you to do that like is probably, well, might make you money, but it may not be exactly what you want to do. And you just going to roll with it because you need to make money for these people, because it's very evident. It's one of my favorite shots is the first episode. It's like all these vultures up on her balcony watching her as she's dancing. Like that's our cash cow. And there's only really, I think, one person out of that group I would point to and say like that person would be here regardless. And that's, I can't remember the character's name. It's not Monique. What is her? Is
the actress is Divine Joy Randolph.
Yeah, her. But I can't remember her name.
Remember from the short-lived High Fidelity series that she was incredible in.
Yeah, I believe that. Like
she's also great in this.
Yeah, she's one of my favorites.
I have a lot of compliments to pay to the actors. Continue.
Yeah. But like, she's the only one in the group I'm like, she's going to be there for that girl regardless. The rest of them, and even Haim tells you like, if you don't want to do this, like that's fine, but I got to go where the money is. And so the fact that, like you said, the show has come and gone and no one's really talked about it, to me, it kind of like mirrors exactly what like could happen with a pop star. You could have a pop star that comes along, does a hit, people are like, oh my God. And then the next week, you know, especially in this day and age with your SoundClouds and your Spotifys and all that, you don't hear from them anymore.
I've seen some argument that it was maybe like 5 years too late.
Probably, yeah, I could see that.
You know, I don't know. I don't know that like magically saves it or anything. But okay, so you liked this exploration.
I like of like what, because I mean
of current stardom.
Like what it means to be a star in this day and age. And if that's what they're going for, I feel like, okay. But, and one of the things I do appreciate, because I don't think you see it a lot, at least as far as we're concerned with like musicians, the music industry, female stuff, is like at the end of the day, I think 5 years ago, you would be like, oh no, she's in trouble, she's in peril, she needs someone to save her. And the flip of it all, like, no, this girl knew exactly what she was doing. Maybe not all the way along, but she was using this dude for her own purposes, and is like at the end of the day, again, it may be clunky, you may not like it, but at the end of the day, she uses him.
You may find it, not borderline, just patently incoherent.
Right,
Like,
completely, yeah.
that it makes genuinely no logical, narrative, or emotional sense.
And that's where I wonder, like, that's why I asked, like, what did Amy Simons bring to the table that is still there and what isn't? And, like, how much of what did they
From what I understand, like, none of what,
Okay.
nothing of what you see is anything that she shot. No, it is all Sam Levinson.
But I
from T to
now I
B.
wonder how much that they did shoot with her, if anything. Like, was it an
Well,
episode?
no,
Was it
from
two?
what I understand, like 80% of the show was completed, and then they scrapped all of it.
So I want to know what
then
that
go
was.
back
I would love to
into
have
it.
those scripts.
As would I, because I've heard conflicting things, which is one that it was more focused on the cult aspect of
That's
things.
what I was. That's what I was.
Which
wanting.
seems odd, because that seems like more of the element that the Weeknd wanted to bring into it. Mm-hmm. So that confuses me there. But then obviously, I think inherently just you lose her perspective. And that was one of my biggest things, is I was just like, she just feels like a cipher through so much of that show to me. Mm-hmm. There was no, like, it never lets you in on her. And again, a lot of things felt rushed and, like, haphazard, and some of it worked. Sorry, getting back to, if I can say nice things about it.
Yeah.
What you were describing, the exploration of, like, fame in today's society, those elements, the industry aspects of the show, the satire elements,
Oh, yeah.
I think are fantastic. And that's the show that I thought it should have been the whole time.
Right.
But literally within episodes, it felt so split brain, where it was like, first half hour of each hour is this industry satire that's super sharp, and it'd be like the music video shoot, or, again, just the gaggle of them at her house all commentating on all of this.
Right.
The vultures,
Eli Roth
as you
showing
mentioned.
up, the nudity
Exactly.
writer, all that stuff.
Like, all of that, all of that industry stuff, I thought was the best parts of the show, like, by far. And then it's like literally every episode would, like, stop on a dime. It's like, and now Tedros enters the action.
Right.
And whenever it would become the Tedros show, I was just like, what the fuck is this? And that's where I'm like, what, like, again, I don't know what, if any, of the original vision of the Amy Simons version of this exists at this point. I'm curious what it was, because this feels very slapdash, and, like, you can feel the edits on it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, almost every single episode is structured that way, and it never quite gelled for me. And then I would say, like, I went through waves with it, where I was just like, okay, this is, like,
Super cringe.
this is cringy as hell. I mean, yeah, the sex scene that, like, everybody talks about, which is just like my biggest thing was, it was just fundamentally, to me, so unsexy.
Yeah, that's the point. It's not supposed to be. The dude does not know what. That's the whole thing. He does not know. He's in over his head. He has no idea what he's doing. He's not. The way they frame him, and, like, oh, he owns a club, and then he kind of, like, mysteriously walks into her house at the end of the night, just alone, just him, like, ooh, he's going to be this mysterious dude. And it's like, no, this guy's a fucking joke con artist.
No, when he's sizing it up, no, I agree. And this is I don't know if this is me giving the show the benefit of the doubt, because I don't know if it's something it was actively trying to achieve, but it definitely existed in this weird place, because I'm sitting there for the first several episodes going, like, I mean, this is, like, his thing.
Yeah.
He's the one who was like, I got to bring in Sam Levinson. I got to, like, salvage this project. I had to become another person. I forgot how to sing because I became this dude who doesn't know how to sing. Like, you have any idea how in this shit? And, like, all of that shit from the press tour, where I'm just like, okay, this seems like, again, on its surface, what it's supposed to be is, like, ego writ large, okay? But then he's playing a character who is fundamentally a fucking joke.
Yes.
But the dichotomy of those two things, though, I couldn't make it work in my brain for several episodes because I was like, does the show, like, I was like, the show's actively commenting on it, particularly like her friend, the Rachel Sennett character, who's just from the get-go like, fuck this dude, like, he's so weird. But again, her, even with where the show ultimately goes, her being so into him from the get-go, just immediately, and me not knowing much about her, immediately put distance between me and that character. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, oh, this is a terrible decision. Like, what do you see in this guy? Like, it makes me think less of you. Mm-hmm. And even with the turn of, like, I was manipulating him the whole time. Like, I knew exactly what I was doing. But then they're actually in love. Like, that finale is
bonkers.
A house fire.
Yes. In
the worst possible way.
Yeah.
In a way that I'm like, that needs to be it.
Oh, I want it. I don't need a second
because
season.
As much as I would be curious for, like, oh, okay, season 2 is on tour, like, I kind of want to see it. I don't know. Like, there is that side of me that's like, dude, what if they're just like, fuck it, we're doing season 2, and critics be damned, we'll see what happens. Good taste be damned. Let's go even wilder. Mm-hmm. But again, that was my biggest thing, is for something that was pitched as so, like, salacious and like, you won't believe what they're doing in this show. It was like, when they finally get down to showing you, like, what they're doing, I was just like, guys, this is cute. This is real cute. This is literally like the worst, like, most base level, like, Pornhub video level dialogue that he's doing right now. The way he's talking to her in those scenes. And again, I get what you're saying, that it's supposed to be laughable, but and again, I don't really remember the chronology of everything, but I'm trying to think when it really hit me where I was like, oh, they're truly depicting him as, like, I guess it was episode 4, where he hits, like, rock bottom, where she brings in other dude and she finally, like, wants to kick him out and everything.
And she's like, he's like, have you met this dude? She's like, I have no idea who that guy is, and takes Rob up to her bedroom.
Yeah.
And to me, if you look at it, Rob is really the only one who loses out. His career is fucked over completely by this dude.
100%.
And that's like the most unnerving thing I'm so pissed about. I'm like, dude, that guy didn't deserve that, at all. She called him over to the house.
The chef didn't deserve to get, like, fucking
nobody deserved
slapped.
It. Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this, like, because I watched it, and nowhere in there I saw a thing that he posted, and it may have been something that they had already shot with Amy Simons. It may have been something that didn't make an episode, but it was something about somebody talking to her about Rolling Stone, and him basically saying, like, why do we need to be interviewed by Rolling Stone? They want to interview her because she's got more followers than they do, so it's really our benefit if we let this happen. So no, we're not going to do it. And I don't remember that being in any episodes I saw.
It's in one of the early trailers, I think.
It is, but I don't remember making it to the show. And so my thing, what I just thought, just what I've always kind of had in my back of my mind that I'm just curious about, I don't know when this idea came about, but I would not be surprised if shortly after the Grammys told him, we don't want you to perform because you're going to do the Super Bowl and we're not going to nominate you for anything, if he got this idea and it said, well, fuck you, I'm going to make a TV show about how bullshit the music industry is. And that's where the original idea came from.
I mean, I guess that's my other thing is, like, I needed them to either lean harder into the satire and just be pure comedy. Mm-hmm. Because all of the I mean, as you mentioned in our previous episode, like, the kind of, like, half-assed, well, I'm bringing back the erotic thriller.
Oh, yeah.
It's Verhoeven.
Yeah.
It's sexy. I'm just like, it's not. It's really not. And at a certain point, I mean, your mileage may vary. Obviously, there's a lot of different tastes out there. But at a certain point, when you've seen, like, every nook and cranny of Lily Rose Depp, mm-hmm. in, like, 2 episodes, it's not even that it feels gratuitous. It's just like, what are we doing here?
Right.
I don't know. I'm just like, okay, you're not really titillating me. I don't know if that's the point. I don't know, but whatever. So, it's like this weird, I don't know. It's this weird reverse feminism where it's like, you really feel like men we'll let them think that it's actually like super empowering to like just flaunt their bodies, but we'll make them feel like it's what we actually want, but we'll let them think that it's what they want, and like, but they'll be cool with it now.
Yeah,
it's that weird like mentality to me, where it's like, well, we're making her empowered. She's like, the secret was she had agency the whole time. That is supposed to somehow justify like the objectification of her for 5+ episodes. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
it's
they,
just,
well,
I don't know,
but
dude.
They
It was
that,
weird to not feel a little gross about it, even with
that's fine.
him being made into a buffoon. Dude, when they go to Rodeo Drive and he like just jerks off on some fucking like very expensive clothes or shoes, I'm sure, in the corner. Like, I just, we should all, again, I'm like, that's one of those things where I'm like, what are we trying to achieve? It was like, you really wanted to play this character. Mm-hmm. You thought this needed to be seen. I guess I don't understand where Tedros fits into all of it. If it's this big satire on like how fucked up the music industry is, but then it weirdly wants to make this turn in the finale of like, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
So in the first episode, we find out all the stuff, mom, all that kind of stuff, right?
Which again, supposedly is all bullshit.
What do you mean?
When we get to the finale.
Right. However, hear me out. So
it's just,
she's finally, it's finally coming up. The music videos, they're going with the music video, they get back on tour. Like, it's finally like do or die time. You're going to have to nut up or shut up, get back on this tour, release this single that you may or may not like. Okay. And in the past, how have you dealt with it? Mom. And we find out later, stolen or not stolen valor, whatever you want to call it. Mom beat you with a hairbrush.
Stolen
right? Right?
That's definitely not what it's called. We can come up with a name, but that's definitely not what it's called. Continue.
Right. But anyway, she's stealing thunder. Stolen or not stolen thunder. Mom kept you in line because if you got out of line, she beat you with a hairbrush. Like, that was how you're disciplined. So you go to a club and this guy who has nothing to do with you, you're not paying, you're not making him any money, he singles you out. And maybe a little high, a little whatever, and you kind of make out with him. Maybe you think he's cool. You might feel like he's putting on this thing of like, oh wow, look at him. And what happens? You invite him back, and he doesn't fuck you. Like, everybody probably in the world would want to fuck you, but he doesn't. The first time he meets you, what does he do? He blindfolds you, and he chokes you. And at the last second, when you're like, whatever, he, cuts a knife through the thing that's choking you and says, all right, now you sing. And you're like, you're back in that frame of like, oh, wow, okay. I'm in a space with this person that like, they can push me to be what I need to be as far as creatively sound and like getting this done. And so, yeah, it may be a little unorthodox. It may be like weirdly substituting this person in for like, what my mom was as far as a motivator and keeping me in line. But like, I found something that makes me, this person does something to me deep down that like makes me want to be creative, to the point that I don't really like this song that the record company wants me to do, to the point they don't even care if I do it. They're going to ask the girl who invited me to the club, who was a plant the entire time by this dude apparently, they're going to ask her to do it. So why don't I do, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it my way. You get that fire, that muse back, like the muse of it all, the thing that makes you want to make music, whether it's good music, bad music, whether you love it. Like, I genuinely get that, like, whatever she was recording, I feel that in those things where she's trying to show these people, like, look, this is me. This is, like, I'm doing something different. Like, I genuinely get it from her, like, this is what she wants to do. And it just happens to take this weird dude who's in over his head, who's just a fucking piece of shit con artist from Hawaii, wife beater, wannabe pimp dude, that, like, brought it out of her, okay? But it's one of those things of how far are you going to go to keep that quote-unquote golden goose around? How much of yourself are you going to let go? What are you going to do when it's up against it? And yeah, towards the back half of it, we see that like, okay, she starts to get like, this dude is, she never really comes out and gets like, oh, this guy's in a cult. Like, these are a cult of people, because the people that he keeps around him are insanely talented. you know. And that's one of the things I do appreciate about the show is showing the world like these people. I'm sure people already knew them at some facet, but I mean, you put these people in prime time on HBO, the world's going to know who they are. And I hope that every one of them, if they want to, you know, pursue and explore music, do whatever, that they've got a better platform for it, you know, because I think every one of the people who quote unquote's in his stable that, you know, he changed their life, that they are talented in their own right. So the idea of her being able to say, well, you know what, you've been following this dude and he got you to my house. So if you come with me on tour to be my opening act, leave this motherfucker behind and come with me. Because she's finally gotten to the point, it's like, she understands that, like, look, there is a line between
again
me liking this dude for a certain reason and me using him for, you know, to get something out of it for myself. So now that I've kind of seen that, I'm going to move forward in this space of I'm in control again, and I'm going to start playing him. And the first thing she does is, I'm going to, you know, she's been, you know, getting eaten out in the back of a car and all this shit the entire series. What's the first thing she does when she kind of puts it together that, oh, he was into this Asian girl that he, you know, sent to be in the video and then, you know, was going to try and take a song from me, yada, yada. What's the first thing she do? She calls her ex-boyfriend.
The fact that was like, that was the straw for her after all the other shit he's done, again, just makes me dislike her even more. Which, when it builds to a place of like, oh, okay, he was using her, she was actually using him, I guess they deserve each other. I was kind of like, okay, yeah, they both suck. Yeah. So fine. I can't take credit for this one. Andy Greenwald on the Watch podcast pointed this out, and I thought it was genius. So I got to throw it at you. Mm-hmm. Just as because again, I feel like the character's kind of a cipher and everything. What if this, and again, not to criticize the show for what it's not, but this is just like hey, this is something that clearly went through different variations of like restructuring the plot, the characters, whatever. So while we're just brainstorming, what if, this again, it was his take, what if she was this pop princess who's fairly clean cut? Yeah. A lot of young girls who are fans, which they mention when there's the whole, you know, cum shot issue in the first episode. And she, as herself, you know, in dealing with all of this or whatever, is kind of like, you know, I've got these urges. I want to be more outwardly sexual. And that's the tension with the label, which of course would sound weird because it's like, well, sex sells regardless, so whatever. Right. But don't think that if she were this person who public persona had been very clean cut and everything, but then you realize in her private life she's into getting like tied up.
She's Hannah Montana to everybody else, but she's Miley Cyrus in private. Is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. If that was the dynamic, and then basically her people seeing her slip further into like that side of her life and wanting to bring that more into the music, and the music becoming like more sexualized or weird or out there, as opposed to you start with I'm just a freak. Yeah. You know I want it back. Dance number. Yeah. You start at that level. It's already like hypersexualized, just like most pop is already. So it's like, I get that it would be weird to like be in that dynamic, and you'd be way more weirded out by like the age dynamics and like all that sort of stuff. I get it. But like, wouldn't it make more sense narratively for like that to be the tension with like the public persona, her trying to like find this new or express this new side of herself, grow up, reveal the new side of her artistry or whatever. Whereas it just feels like, well, she's already this super sexual like pop icon, and the difference is like, I want to make my beats a little like slower and more stripped down and minimal, and like I'm gonna add a choir here and there. It's just like throw Mike Dean on this shit. It's just like the belief, which to me was just like, oh, really all it is just bringing in more like art pop or like indie music influences into what you would pass off as mainstream. That's it. It's not really like that out there. But yeah, what if that was the dynamic, and it was like, you know, this closeted personality, she's trying to find herself, she's struggling with like, you know, I don't know, I'm like discovering my sexuality, and like, am I in control, am I not, or whatever, and it's all a build to like, I am in control. What ultimately fucking killed it for me which honestly could have salvaged it, because the finale, the kind of like centerpiece concert sequence where like everybody gets to perform, all of that at the house. Tedros is in like complete breakdown mode, which I just love seeing.
Oh yeah.
And that's when I was fully like, dude, I guess hats off to you to like. You went so full bore into a character that is like so off-putting and so complete. It's like he very much wanted to be like, if I'm going to act, I want to like I want to.
I don't want to be
show
the
off
Weeknd
the
at
acting.
all.
And I think there's a lot of aspects of the performance that do not work. But then they're kind of lampshaded, like you said, by the fact that he's supposed to be a joke. So the things that you're maybe like, oh, he didn't sell that. It's like, oh, well, it's the false bravado.
Yeah.
You know. And so I do have issues with that too, where it's like I don't know, it's kind of like tailored to have him, if you're being generous to the show, come away being like, oh, I think he kind of did something there, because that was definitely I would say the biggest constant running thing beyond just like, oh, the show is gross, it's so cringy, blah blah blah, was just like, he is like, he's bad, he's not a good actor or whatever. And I came fully around on the performance, but here's what killed it for me. You have all of that. She kind of sends him off. It's like, you know, pay him off, pay him whatever he needs, get him out of my fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to SoFi Stadium, we flash ahead, all of that. It's like, oh, she got everything together. It's like, she's killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything went off without a hitch. And then he comes up to get the ticket, and I was just like, he should not be on that list. Like, his fucking shit should end right there.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he came in, I was like, okay, all right, maybe she's got some kind of like grand fuck you planned for her.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm still thinking like, that's where we're headed with all of this. And when it ends with like,
well, I'm still thinking
you fucked me, I fucked you, but now I'm in control, I'm top dog, and we're trapped in this like disgusting love affair forever. The sick, twisted, dark fantasy. I know that's a Kanye thing, but it seems like a Weeknd, could have been a Weeknd album title. Mm-hmm. That's when I fully was like, fuck you guys. Like, I just was like, no, this is not, like, you almost had me back on your side where I was like, I don't know, dude, this was a wild ride, but like, okay, I'm more positive than negative on it, where I'm like, maybe this is like a 7. But it felt like such a fundamental, like, we don't know what to do here, so we're going to take the biggest left turn, whether we've earned it or not. It felt so strange to me. And again, borderline incoherent, where I was like, this renders me literally incapable of, like, putting a, like, this is what the show was saying on this. Like, really having a takeaway. Because, again, my only takeaway was like, oh, the industry's a terrible place. Shitty people, like, or terrible behavior is ignored because people are profitable. And we throw people away, blah, blah, blah. But, like, within that, the only way to, like, find love is to find a fucking soul that's as fucked up as you are? Like, is that what we're saying with it? What did you take away with the turn, which we both agreed is fundamentally fucking batshit?
Yeah.
Is a crazy place to end an already insane television series.
Well, see, I was wanting it to go further, and I wanted it to be like in the credits, him just like walking back, her music blaring, like stuff that he has gotten out of her blaring, and him having the realization of like, that girl's only on stage because of me, but can't hack the idea that he doesn't matter, because they've told you the IRS is probably going to go after him. He's been exposed, yada yada yada. Right. He doesn't have any of his acts anymore, and just him going back to her dressing room and blowing his brains out. That's what I was wanting it to lead to this ultimate thing of like, who is truly in control, because it's like, okay, she's told you like, yeah, you're my muse, and like, we may not be good together all the time, but like, I see something in you, and like, I need you around. So it's like, now you only exist as possibly somebody that she can use to make good music, only for inspiration, even if it's like she never deals with you again, or she could be in love with you for the rest of your life. We don't know.
I still don't know like what fundamentally she needed him for in the music realm. Like, beyond the fact that he brought Mike Dean to that house, which coincidentally provided like some of the biggest laughs of the finale, which was just like his crew like acting,
Just
basically playing the audience.
Yes.
Of like, yeah, this shit's fucking wild. I will say, we mentioned some of the stars, Tedros's array of stars. Moses Sumney is somebody who I knew by name but had not really seen in anything. He was great, obviously. But excuse me, her name escapes me. The
girl at the piano?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Red Rocket?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. She was...
Yeah.
She did the Bye 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 cover in that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she is... Susanna Son.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of her name. Yeah, she played Chloe. I also haven't shouted her out yet. Love Her and Everything. Just absolutely crushed it. Jane Addams as
God,
the...
yes.
I don't
Turn
know,
on a
as
Dime.
one of the execs, but
one of the most perfect representations of what I assume a music exec has to be.
right.
You know, it's like it doesn't. People are just capital, and if you can't do this, that's fine. I'm gonna go get somebody else, but I'm gonna cover my bet to where I don't totally alienate you. And every time you see her, it's like, this bitch does not want to be here. She's concerned about the money, all this other stuff, but she's turning it on like, oh my God, Jocelyn, you're so great. It's like, yeah, bitch, we know you're fake. But that's like, again, is that the whole meaning of the show, that this is just everybody in the music industry is fake, nothing's real?
I guess that at the end, I'm like, if that's meant to be my takeaway, I was like, did you really need, however many $1 million and like a failed attempt at it and a redirect to get to that as like what you have to say? Because I'm like, kind of already knew that, bud. Like,
Yeah.
I will also say, there was the whole weird thing where it's like all of a sudden 5 was the finale, and some people were confused because like we thought it was going to be 6, and then it was like, well, HBO just didn't communicate it properly because it was always meant to be 5 when it went from the first iteration of the project to the second one, re-editing, etc. But it's hard to feel like it needed one more episode.
Yeah.
Before that finale, I still think that finale would have like killed it still if it ends where it ends. But I also feel like they could have earned that finale with one more episode before we got there.
But what did you need in that episode to earn it?
Well, I need maybe a restructuring of the season. My biggest things, and like one of the biggest, like, again, I'm not like rooting for a season 2. If we get one, obviously we'll fucking watch it. But
yeah.
Rachel Sennett's character, her best friend,
Yeah.
who kind of just like fades to the background, again, is like verbally abused and just embarrassed by Tedros like multiple times, ends up leaving the note at the end of the finale. We never find out what it says, but obviously I was like, I'm curious where that goes. But to that point, I needed more of them. I needed more of Jocelyn as who she was. And I get that she's introduced to you in flux. She doesn't really know,
Right.
because she's dealing with the trauma of losing
So maybe
her mom and all of
Jocelyn
that.
before this, like with her
I
mom,
needed
to show
maybe,
me how big of a star she was.
I don't even, maybe flashbacks.
Yeah.
Episodically, I know that's kind of a cliche, and they maybe don't want to do that. But I that's what I needed, more of her as a character, because, and even if we were gonna still try and go with this weird like femme fatale, is she in control, is she not, side of things, I also, I never thought we fully made good on like, I was waiting for a murder, to be honest with you.
Did you ever see Neon Demon?
Is that a serious question?
You saw it, right? We haven't talked about it, you and I together, so. But I got really like Neon Demon vibes in the beginning. Like I was like, oh, this is gonna be like that. Maybe we're never gonna see this guy in the daytime. He only like comes around at night. Not that he is a literal vampire, but like he's a figure to the vampire. Like figuratively, he's a vampire because we only see him at night, and like he's very groggy and doesn't want to come around during the daytime, even when he's moved into her house. Like we only see him in like a dank basement studio kind of thing in the house,
right,
as a metaphor of like, oh, people who are trying to come after you in the business, they're gonna suck you dry like a vampire because they're trying to use you. and then the turnaround being like, oh no, you're actually using him because he put you a thing. The other thing I want to mention, I can buy that she was in control the entire time, and this is just a personal thing, because I understand everything she's put into by him. Not so much the music bit. The music business, she is under the knife. She is under the thumb. She has real no control.
Right.
You know, she has to submit that control and let other people do these things. She has to do this for other people. With him, you may not get it in the first couple episodes, but as you flesh it out, in the world of what we're like terrible, what we're seeing as far as the sex scenes and like anything involving like him trying to be more dominant over her, in that world, the person who is like submitting and being like having stuff done to them, they do have all the power because they do have the ability to say, done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not submitting. I'm done with this at a drop of a hat. Now, you may not feel that and see that in these episodes. It may come across as, oh, this guy Tedros, who has no idea what he's doing, is a dweeb, like just a nerd. Like, oh yeah, girl, you like that? I want you to do this. So fucking lame. And so it's like, no one does that. You know, I've never been like, yeah, now do this. No one fucking does. Like the worst Pornhub parodies do that shit.
Again,
right?
Yeah, it's like what a 13-year-old
Exactly.
idea of sex is like.
It reminded me of like that SNL skit when they were like talking about Andy Samberg being like, boobs in Game of Thrones. That's what I do. You know, it's like you gotta have the tits. So like they had Andy Samberg be the 13-year-old boy that decides when tits come out. It's like, but she would have been in control of all of that, you know, because she could say stop. Because is this dude really gonna fucking like hurt this cash cow? He's gonna be that dude that's gonna like mess up her vocal cords or like, you know, hit her in a place where people are gonna see that she's been hit, that sort of thing. So like I bought into more of like, oh well, she's not who we don't know who she is, but she's not who the show is trying to make me think she is, because she's in control of everything when it comes to him and this music. Everything else she has no control over. So why? And that's a huge thing. That's this looming thing that's gonna like make or break her. So if she has no control there, of course she's gonna want every ounce of control from this relationship, this person, whatever. So that's why she throws herself so heavy into it, is because, hey, with this dude, yeah, I'm more of the submissive. I may be on the bottom end of things, but like I can control that. I can say no, to the point that, again, we get to this kind of half-ass like, oh, well, now that I've figured out through, I don't know, I can't remember if her friend tells her or like, is it which friend of it tells like, oh yeah, you know, she was just down at the record industry. You know that, you know, Tedros told her to come to bring you to the club that night, right? When she gets the realization and sees him talking to her, and she was like,
yeah,
well,
it's the Chloe character. Yeah,
Chloe
basically tells her everything.
Like, did she ever have a thing with him? Like, oh, I don't know. Like, you know, maybe. You get to that petty jealousy point. It's like, oh, okay, so I'm not, because up until then, there's never really any other interaction with a female that is that like, he has to boss them around. He has to talk down to them because he kind of controls her in that way and talking for her and doing things. So he has to do that to every other female. But the minute he doesn't to this female, it's like it clicks to her like, oh, whatever I thought I was with this guy, he's not on the same page as me because he's over here with this chick. And now I find out this chick is possibly plotting to like ruin me. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do what every woman is going to do. I'm going to shut him down. I'm going to emasculate him in the best way possible. I'm going to invite my ex-boyfriend over.
Again, all of that totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's just where we end up in the finale doesn't.
Right. But I mean, come on. If you had the golden goose, if you had that thing that like,
I don't get why he's that thing. It
doesn't
never
matter.
makes
It
me
could be anybody.
it never makes me believe that they need each other to do this thing that she's doing. It just, okay. Wait, dude.
that's the end of it all. It's
We're
like,
never-
whatever it is,
we're
it's,
never
whatever
gonna-
that is the idol. The thing you idolize, you want, that's going to make you do whatever. You know?
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Ultimately, you know, I'm not mad I watched it.
Yeah.
It was entertaining, if not just
Look, if you needed something,
morbidly fascinating.
listen, if you needed something to make you
most
miss
of
the
the time.
fact that Succession was over,
And it was
you should have
funny.
watched The Idol.
Right, and it was very funny at times.
Yeah.
Sometimes I felt intentionally so. Sometimes I felt very unintentionally so. I feel like we didn't shout out Hank Azaria, who, again, most of the performances,
Yeah.
I think, outside of Lily Rose Depp and Abel Tesfaye, I think are pretty phenomenal across the board. And
Yeah.
even though some of those people do feel like they're in different shows, the two leads, I have mixed feelings. But
what about the music, Noah? Did you like the music at all?
I mean, honestly, so like that was the other thing, is I was like, when they come in with the remix, like, oh, I made it, this is more her now. This is more what you're about. I was just like, yeah, other version was better. Like, like, sorry, this remix isn't hitting. Basically, I thought it never. I thought overall they could have done worse. Obviously, I mean, you got fucking, again, Mike Dean and The Weeknd like producing all the songs for this, but there was no. I mean, other than, again, was it World Class Center?
Yeah.
Is that big single? It's like, that was catchy as hell. Mm-hmm. Like, that I would probably listen to again. Him covering like John Lennon doing Jealous Guy and everything. I mean, I liked that. It was fine. But yeah, were you following along with like the drops?
Yeah,
they were doing episode by
yeah.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't over the moon with the actual like just score. I mean, obviously I love it. It was just a bunch of like fucking droning synths. It was moody as hell. And again, like visually, it fucking like it looked like millions of dollars. I love shit that's actually shot on film. Like, Sam Levinson knows how to shoot shit. This is
that was only the question I had.
Trick
how much
do
of
you
the
watch
name,
Euphoria?
That's what I was going to ask. How much of the name do you think like got the eyes that it got? If we hadn't said, oh, and it's the guy who made Euphoria making this show, do you think anybody would like, one, have watched?
If it had been sold solely on the weekends back, I think it had maybe done like half of what it did, objectively.
Okay, but
I think the combination of the two of them and the storyline of like he handpicked Sam Levinson, he like wanted him to do it.
So, and do you think, again, name? Do you think had that not been released and just been like, this is a thing, do you think there would be a discussion around it as it is? Because I feel like possibly because of the success of Euphoria, when people, oh man, the guy who did Euphoria and The Weeknd are making a show for HBO, I definitely had a lot different picture than what this thing was going to be in my head. Again, I was like, oh, this guy's a fucking, like, he's a cult leader. It's going to be some weird Neon Demon type shit, and we're going to get great music out of it. And at the end of the day, if this girl doesn't wind up eating, I don't know what's going to happen.
I guess that's my thing. It's like, I if anything, I wanted it to lean further into
the crazy bullshit.
Yeah, I wanted it to be a 90s erotic thriller, and I think that juxtaposed with this media's like industry satire would have been a really strong show. I think the cult thing we ultimately got with him coming in and taking over the house just never. Again, it just never fucking fully gelled. It felt very what if we so passive on her part, and again made me just every beat of that character along the way just served to put more and more distance between me and her. And again, I don't need to like or root for the people I'm watching on television or in movies. It is not a prerequisite for me to enjoy something. But when you're telling this story and she is ostensibly your lens, and when I'm also coming in with the knowledge of like this was going to be helmed by Amy Simons, a female director, and now it's essentially been taken over or hijacked, however you want to look at it, by these very like male dominant personalities, and I'm like every frame of this has like a half naked or pretty much fully naked Lily Rose Depp like constantly, and it's just hard to feel like that probably wasn't a part of the original conception of this. And so I'm already feeling like she's objectified. You're giving me nothing to latch on to. I just don't I don't know. I feel like I'm just talking in circles, dude.
Yeah,
And
that
we've
makes
almost
sense.
gone an hour on
More
what
than
I
you ever wanted to. Yeah.
more than I ever planned to. We were never gonna fully see eye to eye on it. If they make a second season, I
They make
will.
a second season. She should be full on Catherine Trammell, just like fucking
Yeah,
Basic Instinct.
I guess
killer.
again. Yeah, I
On
didn't
tour.
finish that thought, but yes, that's where I
Yeah.
wish it would have gone. Is more in that vein,
Yeah.
not whatever all of that stuff was. Okay. Yeah, but do you have any desire to watch Euphoria now that you have seen this?
Yeah, I'll probably.
I'm
go
kind of
back and watch
surprised
it.
that you had not watched it before.
Yeah, not really.
Another show again. The Sam Levinson of it all. I feel like we laid all of this at the feet of the weekend, but I mean, Sam Levinson's he's one of the, I don't know. I have complicated feelings about him because he's one of these have his cake and eat it too motherfuckers. Where I'm like,
Of the
he
Sams,
constantly is like pushing the envelope, but also like basically like, hey, you see how much I'm pushing the envelope? Hey, say something about it. You're square. You're fucking weird. It's that energy of just like, if you don't like this, you can't handle it. You're just like, you just don't get it. You're not edgy enough.
of course, these girls in
It's
high school
that-
do fucking drugs, man. What are you, nuts?
It's that.
What are you, living in the 50s?
It's that tone of it.
Yeah.
Like, that sometimes I just want to be like, dude, fuck you. Because Euphoria is him top to bottom. Like, every episode is written by him. Every episode is directed by him. Like, it is his auteur, baby. So for good and bad, all of the, like, but it is one of those shows where the highs and what it does well is just like so fucking spectacular at times that it lets me forgive the times when I'm just like, I cannot believe you're doing this right now. And again, that's the having his cake and eating it too. He's actively doing it at all times, and it's frustrating, but there are so few American provocateurs. I feel like that's kind of dead.
Yeah.
Like, and it used to be way more of a European like tradition.
And
I
that,
feel
as far
like
as I'm concerned,
with
that
Lard
is
after
her. She is European. Her mother's European. Like, this is her on, like, this is...
sure,
And
if we
that
wanna-
character of Jocelyn's, like, a European. Like, she has no problem with her own nudity or anything like that throughout the entire show. Her body's her body. She can do what she wants to do with it. She's actively okay. Like, I don't care about the nudity writer. Take that off, whatever. And they're like, well, we can't. Like, that, we can't do this. Like, yeah, we can. It's that simple. So, like, again, she's fine with it. She's in control of her own body, what gets out there about it. She's a little worried about the whole, like, cum shot thing, but, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't seem to be that big a deal. They say, like, it'll be a news cycle thing. They'll get over it. They'll come
Right.
back. They're still going to come to your concert.
I still want to know if she used it as the album cover or not.
See, when you said that, I instantly thought about, I don't know, I can't remember the name of her first album, and I don't know if she's ever going to put a second one out, but there's that Sky Fieri album that the cover photo of her is just her naked in the shower. Just like...
Not familiar. Okay.
And like, that is one of those, I was like, I don't care about like that as like ooh, look at, it's like, yes, like, own it. Like, you wanted that picture out there. That's the cover of your album. Do that shit, because the album is great. I love her voice. I wish she would do more music and whatnot. I don't know if she's transitioned to acting more, whatever it is, but I think she has a beautiful voice. I think she's gorgeous. And that album is just like, that is what was kind of like in my mind frame of like, maybe that's a her, as far as like what Jocelyn was supposed to be, like a mix of her again in with like maybe a little bit of Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, good on, goody on like as a younger artist, and now she's trying to break out some. And then weirdly, it was just like, I don't know, I think that's really, if I had to say my biggest problem is like, I just did not understand the level of fame she was at this point. Was she already like a pop idol? Or was, like you said, this kind of being more of her transition into trying to become what she thought she needed to be as a pop? Like, what is it? You're right. It is very, it's not giving to you correctly, but again, it was one of my favorite artists of all time doing a TV show for HBO, and I mean, I appreciate him going so far.
What he chose to do with it will forever remain very fascinating to me. And if anything, it's a persona.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm saying, if anything, it only adds to the mystique for sure.
Yeah.
Which is just like, what the fuck was this thing? I'm sure, like, in his mind, you know how I think he thinks of this?
Mm-hmm.
This is his I'm still here.
Yeah. I can see that.
This is his, like, I'm going to play a fucking like, maybe I'm going to do this as almost an exploration of, like, how some people may see me.
Yeah.
Or maybe, but it's not even that, because again, he's not, he's not smooth. He's not safe. It's like, I don't know. Playing against all the preconceived notions. Again, I have this instinct to want to give him way more credit than I feel like he actually deserves, but like maybe there's some weird brilliance in there. I have to stop talking about it. It's 55 minutes into the pod.
All right.
If anybody is still listening, you guys want to hear about the bear? You want to take a ride up to old Chicago, take the L train, and grab a beef. Bear. What do you?
Yes, chef.
Yeah. Okay. So we had reservations, but Gavin was late to dinner. He just now caught up on season 1, full year later, in time to watch season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's talk about the bear.
I mean, I think it goes without saying that I text you. Said that show completely got brought. I'm 6 episodes in, and I'm like, these fuckers aren't wearing hairnets. And to which you told me that's a lie.
I was like, I've been working,
and in my head, I'm like, that's an OSHA viation or a DHEC violation. There's hair everywhere.
Like, I've been working in food service for like 10 years, and I've yet to see a hairnet. I mean, the ladies that I work with pull their hair back.
Yeah.
I think that's all. I mean, we've had DHEC, we're inspected regularly. We don't have issues with hair in our food or whatever, but yeah, I get,
it was one of those.
But then I looked it up when you said that, because I was like, oh shit, man. Like, I don't, nobody's ever, I work front of the house for the most part. It's like, I am in the kitchen though, and I look it up, and it's like anyone who's in a prep area or comes into contact with food must wear, and it's like, I run the food, so technically I should have one on too. Like, and I'm just like, but nowhere do I go do I see hairnets.
Yeah.
I'll see people in the kitchen with like,
that's it.
Maybe a chef's hat or maybe a bandana, maybe.
But I mean, you could argue a bandana is a hairnet, because anything to keep like follicles from the front falling in front of your face. I feel like anything behind your head is fair play, because you're not going to be like, you're looking at the food when you're making it. You don't have your back turned to it 90% of the time.
Right.
That's fair.
Let's try not to get hung up on the hairnets. Yeah. So that was a little bit of a bridge to cross. Yeah. But you alluded to not being completely, so like the show kind of had to win you over a little bit.
It did, because like I didn't fucking get it. I was like, it's just fucking food, And like, again, I understand. Okay,
where's the arc?
I get the
narrative? Where's the action?
I get it, because I have had many a night where after, either before we started drinking or after we started drinking, I have fired up Dad's grill. I have cooked some burgers for my drunk friends, and they love me for it. I understand when they talk about chefs wanting to take care of people, making food for them. And again, theoretically, with every dish that a chef creates, you are giving that chef, you're putting your life in that chef's hands, because one, they're the ones responsible for what's put in front of you. And you were telling them, I want this, and I'm going to eat it. And you don't know if you have an allergy. You should by now if you're an adult. But you got to make sure the beef is correct, and that it hadn't been sitting out. Especially chicken can't be sitting out at room temperature. Has to be cooked a certain way. And like, that's the thing that makes me about like blowfish. Now it's like, oh, if you cook a blowfish to a certain degree, or you do it a certain way, you'll kill whoever eats it. And it's just this one other way, and it's a delicacy. It's one of the best things you could eat in the world. But if done wrong, you'll fucking die. Like, I get it. The
best black-owned sushi bar in all of Atlanta.
Oh, dude, I miss that show so fucking much, man. Just real quick.
The blowfish cheek is a delicacy.
I just saw a reel, and it's just like, I love how Darius doesn't get the issue, and he's like, I don't want to kiss my friends for shoes. So you want to kiss strangers for shoes? I don't get it. Come on, boys, I got a line. I need to hurry up. I'm just like, dude, I fucking miss that show like so much. It's fucking wild. But yeah, I didn't gel with me because like I just wasn't like, I was like, oh, this is like, I don't know if the guy who made it is a chef. Maybe he was, maybe he never was, maybe he had a friend who was, but
he's very much plugged into the restaurant industry. His sister is a world class chef,
mm-hmm. And I appreciate
Maddie Matheson, real life chef who plays Fack.
Okay.
He's like the food consultant as well. Yeah.
I like the facts. They're good. Facts.
Yeah, okay, but
anyways, come to
anyways,
Thanksgiving anytime.
Yes, so very much like a lover, an appreciator, if you will, of the world of food, but not somebody like, I guess I would say myself, who like maybe has worked at some point or worked at like a low end of one of this, but you know, has an appreciation for like,
yeah,
quote unquote fine dining.
You get it because
both
you know
sides of the.
You've been in back house. You've been in kitchens. You know that essentially, everything comes to these people the same way. All the raw shit they get comes to them the same way, and it's up to them.
like
what comes to your salad place.
70% of places you go to are all using the same.
It all comes from
same
Cisco
base product. Yeah.
Cisco Foods or whatever.
U.S. Foods. Cisco,
It all comes from that. If you want to break it down. And I don't have any illusions that's where all that shit's coming from there. Even if they're buying it from someone else. The only thing you could probably say is different is where you get your fresh seafood from. Like, I would argue that maybe it's the same way they talk about...
There's some places that specifically are like farm to table or specifically like, oh, we only do local stuff.
Right.
But yeah,
so
even most of your like super high-end restaurants, like in a place like Charleston, are just like, this is dressed up version of the same shit, that base product that everybody else is using. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
It's like the idea that like fucking lobster was a peasant food, and now somehow it's like the most expensive thing you can buy because, oh, look how big it is. Mm-hmm. When really it's just the people up in Maine had a ton of lobster and they're like, we gotta fucking sell this shit. How do we get it out of here? Yeah. Oh, we make it a big deal. We put a spin on it.
Side note, lobster sucks. Crab's way better.
It's terrible. Crab is but the New England clam chowder.
Is that the red or the white?
I never remember that. White.
Okay, so
yeah, so I get it, and I and showing me where these people were coming from in the first couple episodes. The only person, this is gonna sound really stupid, really dumb. The only person that I gave a shit about, that I cared about, was Richie.
First season.
Any season. I am Richie.
No.
We all are Richie.
I'm specifically asking first season. You were already on board with Richie.
Richie, all day long.
Okay, so here's my whole thing. I adored the first season. I was like, this feels so, like, close to the bone.
Right.
That I couldn't, like, separate how it is. For anybody that's worked food service of any level, it just nails so many tiny little things. Yeah. I don't know how to express that.
And I figured that's what drew
this
you
is
to
nothing new that anybody hasn't already said about it, but it feels so lived in and authentic. And there's definitely people who've like picked apart the more like high end aspects of it or just like little details, whatever. But it feels emotionally right, and it feels very grounded and very naturalistic. Mm-hmm. I also had been really jonesing for a show, and I didn't know that it was kind of missing from but a feel-good show, which I don't have a ton of these days, where it's just like, I'm just here for these characters because I like these people and I like hanging out with them. The last one that really was like a start to finish, like sticks in my mind, was Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Of just like, these people bring me nothing but joy. The stakes are never that high, but I just like hanging out with these people. I like watching them be nice to each other.
Well, that if you're talking about that, yes. Well, but if you're going to go further, Atlanta would have been my one after that.
Let me finish my thought. Atlanta
just
to me is just
people. It's elevating above everything else. Yes,
but and Atlanta operates on a whole other level. But again, characters that I just loved and just wanted to hang out with.
Right.
But I guess another element, that goes with that Parks and Rec thing and the show I'm about to talk about. It's nice to like root for people, which is not something you like necessarily get out of Succession or Barry. It's like, I'm not rooting for these people in the way that you traditionally do some other characters. Mm-hmm. And just like an underdog or just like just somebody trying to get by, that aspect I felt like was so much better. And It took me back to Friday Night Lights was the last time I felt this way. I remember just like, I just fucking love these people and these little small victories. And here's the thing, and here's the difference from it and Parks and Rec, and that puts it more in line with the Bear. The dose of reality that's in there, the grit, if you will, not everything always works out. Sometimes shit's rough for people. People have bad things happen to them. The balance of that, so that whenever people do get these little tiny victories, you just like fucking feel it that much more. I hadn't felt that way about a show in a really long time, and that's why I've latched on. It was my favorite show of last year. It is my number one of this year because 2 took it to another level. I say all of this to say
that you still haven't watched Ted Lasso, and it's the same exact show.
I know.
The same exact show.
Sure. I
On
know
that premise you're talking
coming
about
in because you got there first. I get that maybe. Yeah.
I'm just asking if you saw that video I sent you on it.
I did, of course. I thought I liked it, but apparently not. Okay. Richie in the first season was the one guy where I was just like, this fucker, dude. Like, this guy's he's got to get his shit together, man. Like, I kind of, like, I love everybody. I'm rooting for everybody. Kind of can't stand this dude. And to your point, season 2, I mean, pretty much from the get-go, but it happens in the 1-2 punch of 6 and 7, which we'll get. I mean, I'm sure you kind of want to talk about some of the highlight episodes, but yeah, that was not that the show needed to win me over, but that was my one thing where I was like, you took maybe the one character that I was kind of like, I don't know, tough sell, even though I love the performance and I love the actor, but I was just kind of like, I don't know, fucking Richie. And to take him and basically transform him into the complete heart and soul of everything that like is great about this show, was one of the absolute highlights of season 2 for me. So
it's a combination, because I don't know if it's episode 2 or 3, whatever the episode is where she has to go with him to get the right kind of like drywall or whatever it is to fix the caulk up, whatever, to fix whatever, and they're in her car, she's driving him, and he answers the phone, and he has to talk to his little girl who's not doing good.
I forgot that that episode was in the first season. That was the first time where I was like,
from then on.
Yeah.
It was always about him. I get it that it's about Bear. It's about that whole thing with the brother and the sister and life moving on and all that. But to me, I was just like, I fucking know this dude. I know this motherfucker. Things did not happen the way he wanted them to happen. And to see how much joy and how great it was at Thanksgiving, the promise of what could have been, that life of like, I'm with my girl and all that, and to know find that out after knowing where we're at. And just when you get to like, he asked me to marry him and all this other stuff, it's like, that dude is the most real lived in guy. 100%. And like he goes home to just himself. And he does this and that. And like the scene towards the end of the first one, he's like, I'm fucking quit. I'm like, we all know that dude. We all know that dude that shit changes at work and their go-to, maybe not off the cuff, but like after a little bit, they're like, I'm fucking quit, man. I'm just going to go. It's like, no, you're not. We know you're not. But you say that all the time, bro. I get it. But at the end of the day, with what they do with him, the way they turn him around, I got it whenever, like, you know, she explains to Bear, like, you know, they say chefs want to take care of people. You can't take care of people if you're not okay. I got that part of it. But the conversation with the chef at the restaurant, and leaving it on like, well, how did your dad always sign the letters? And like, you realize, oh, it's this phrase, you know, make every second counts, whatever it is, like that. Okay, I get it. Like that conversation, him with that, like, as far as I'm concerned, master chef. You know, if you want to get technical, yes, his Bear was like the chef at the restaurant, but he's kind of come down a peg or two to build himself back up. This lady's on top, as far as I'm concerned. You know, humanizing her and having the conversation he had with her, probably one of my favorite scenes in that episode.
Which is
only compared to
the best episode of the series.
Oh yeah, but thus far,
arguably the best episode of the year, maybe. Even though, again, it follows what is like the flashier, like maybe this is the episode of the year, which is fucking Thanksgiving with the cavalcade of cameos and guest stars. But before we even get there, okay, so I was in love from the get-go, but I think I had it in my number 1 slot, but I think I even rated the first season of the show like a 9.5 because I was like, I love this. This is so great. I feel like it, I'm leaving room for it to get even better. And I mean, I had the highest of expectations, but they just they shattered all of them with season 2 to me personally. And the way, before we get to those highlight episodes, but the way that we let's really let's spend some time with Sydney and her dad, dude. Fucking right. Robert Townsend coming in. Let's spend time with Marcus on his dessert journey and bringing in Will Poulter as the chef and all of that stuff, dude.
Him saving the man.
And again, that whole episode, just not taking any of the obvious turns where it's you expect him to go in there and it be this rigid, oh my god, it's gonna suck for him, and maybe he doesn't have what it takes, but and maybe this chef's gonna be a huge dick, but it's totally not that at all. And it's just just these nice little just subversions of your expectations just are fucking pay off so big. So, but getting to spend time with them, and then you have Tina and Ibrahim are doing the training, and he doesn't take to it. Tina's arc in the first season, dude, the little shit where it's just where she makes the potatoes, I think it is, and gets Sydney to taste them. It's go ahead, tell me it tastes like shit. She's no, it's great.
Great chef.
Yeah. Just those started in season 1, and again those little tiny moments of kindness between characters. It just, I don't know, that shit just I don't know, it hits because it's something you don't see that often on TV, because we more gravitate towards stuff that's high drama, tension, angst between characters and stuff. But
again,
you
there
forget
are
how
3
satisfying.
seasons of Ted Lasso that you can enjoy that with.
I get it.
You would feel the same way.
I get it.
Before the year's out, please. It's not that hard.
Okay. I'll get back on Apple TV Plus.
I'll log in tonight before I leave.
Can you do that online?
I'm in Mom and Dad's TV. I'm on Bex's TV. I'm on my own PlayStation. I'm pretty sure I could just log in on here as me, and you'll be fine. I'll even give you the password, so in case it makes you log in again, you can re-log in again later. We'll do that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fine. We'll do it live.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't start with Solo. I know what you're gonna do. You watch Silo first.
It's Graham Yost, dude. I didn't realize it was Graham Yost.
Dude, it's so good.
Nobody told me. I mean, obviously, Rebecca Fricks.
Yeah.
But still, nobody told me it was the name Graham Yost.
Rashida Jones is the whole reason.
Anyways. I got lost. Okay, we can go ahead. Episode 6. I mean, well, we can. How'd you feel about okay, Carmi's maybe not your dude. How'd you feel when we get to the end of season 1 though? I mean, the Oneer AA meeting.
Yeah.
I mean,
dude's a killer, dude. I'm not even. Dude, I can't fuck with him because I
never watched Shameless or anything.
No.
So I'm coming at this from a place of just I saw this dude in The Rental.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I was I don't really know Jeremy Allen White, and of course I look him up and I'm oh, I've seen him in a few things here or there, but just never fully popped for me. And then I'm watching that and I'm dude, he's in that weird new school, it's him, Christopher Abbott. There's a couple other dudes who I'm these guys, if they were allowed to be the big movie stars, which it seems like Jeremy Allen White might get to that status, was there's a handful of dudes that have that Pacino, De Niro 70s energy to me, of those young performances where you're just they're just in it and they're nervy and they're real, and but I was I guess a little disappointed to hear from a lot of people that they're just oh yeah, he's great, love him in The Bear. It's basically if Lip Gallagher from Shameless became they're it's because I love that character, and it's very similar, is what I've heard from a lot of people. And I'm oh, okay, well maybe that's just his thing, that's his vibe, and that's what he does, this bottled intensity and everything. But I love the way it bounces off of everybody, because Sydney, who has remained one of my one of, if not, it's her and Richie are 1A 1B for me. Io Edebiri, who's somebody I knew from podcast and just being funny on Comedy Bang Bang or Blank Check and random stuff like that. She's written on a bunch of shows.
I think she's gonna be the voice of April in the.
She is the voice of
Turtles,
April.
yeah.
She's also in what was she was in something earlier this year she's in Theater Camp, which is out right now in limited release, which I really want to see. She's in Bottoms, which is another indie comedy that comes out later this year. But yeah, she is blowing up. Okay. So very happy to see that. But yeah, she's been a writer on different stuff for you. She writes on What We Do in the Shadows, a few other shows. But yeah, just always been a big fan of her, but did not know that like she had all of that in her, and to get to see like that character expand in season 2 as well was great. Before we get to the big Thanksgiving episode, I do want to ask you about the romance angle of season 2. With like that do anything for you? I don't know.
Claire Bear?
Yeah.
With Claire Bear?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Because of
another just like when
seamless.
I feel like we don't see this stuff as often in TV just lately. I don't know.
So because like all right, I look at it when I figured it out, when I realized okay, when did the show click for you? After the AA meeting, I got it. Okay, so your brother wouldn't let you work at the restaurant. So what did you do? You went out and you became the best fucking chef on the planet. Okay? And that didn't matter because he still didn't let you work at the restaurant. So you've been doing this thing. You've let Joel McHale yell at you and degrade you for however many years.
Right.
You know? For what? Because you still didn't get your brother's approval. You don't have your dad's approval because the dad's nowhere. Dad's already passed away, right? Like he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that some of the family dynamic stuff is still left vague.
Right.
Even, yeah.
Because I thought Bob Odenkirk, I was like, that's not, he's just another brother. He's another uncle. Got it.
But then there's this feeling of like, did they have an affair at some point?
Right.
Like that's baked in there, but well, I don't know.
You don't know. You're never told, But then you get Jamie Lee, who is like, makes sense now.
We're jumping all around. But
again, after the AA speech, I got it that like, here's a dude who spent his entire life thus far doing one thing that he never got any credit for from the one person he wanted it from. And that one person, as a joke, left him the restaurant he never let him work in. All right, I got it, okay? But then when you see the flashbacks and you get all this stuff from it, you realize, what's the one thing brother had, you have now, that your brother didn't? It's Claire Bear. There's no female ever shown to us that Bernthal has as a girlfriend or like a love interest, someone for him to.
But okay, yeah,
right.
I mean,
I've never seen one, and maybe we'll get one, maybe we won't. But that's the balance, okay? The balance of Claire is what keeps him from doing what his brother did and killing himself. Yeah. Like when they find the money at the end of the first season, and then they go to fucking Oliver Platt, dude. Like, when is that? Where's that guy been? It's just fucking killer, great, dude. When they accidentally fucking Xanax a fucking party full of kids and they're all just asleep, it's like, again, you know what, I'm kind of into it.
Like,
just
again, one of those things where it's like, I love that episode, but it's like that episode more than any other feels like such an anomaly. Yeah. Now, that feels like the show in this weird space of like still figuring out like what it is.
Right.
But it's like, oh, maybe it'll be like adventures like this, like, oh, they gotta do a kid's birthday party. It felt like an Always Sunny episode or something in terms of concept and structure.
Speaking of that, did you see Always Sunny where they go to Chuck E. Cheese?
I did. Side note, and we can tag back in on it. The finale of this season of Sunny is one of the best episodes.
Oh, no, Dennis.
Dennis takes a mental health day.
So
one of the best episodes they've done in years.
So fucking
good.
Dude.
Okay.
Wow, you lowered your heart rate. Yep. And he just walking out and just pointing at everybody. You're like, oh my God, it was all there.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, like, yeah. So they find all the money and like they're basically, he just has that thing of like, fuck it. Like, I'm actually going to do what my brother was trying to do. And again, that's just adding more fuel to the fire. But again, you have that dynamic of like, is he going to be, because in my head, as I'm watching this, like, oh my God, is he going to be his brother? Like, is this what we're leading to? But then you introduce Claire and you're like, okay. And you get to see him, like, I don't want to say be a kid, but like, you get the idea that he never did any of this. It was always about the food and learning. And, you were, the only relationship you had was like whether you yelled or didn't yell at a chef.
Right.
And you went home like you have been, to nothing, you know, where you're waking up in the middle of the night, burning your house down, accidentally cooking eggs or something, you know, some wild shit. But then you introduce Claire, and like that's the thing again. Like your brother doesn't have that, as far as we know, and that's what's missing. And again, Mom, when we meet Mom doesn't have the other side of that either, and that's what Mom isn't crazy, like kill myself crazy, but she's crazy to an extent. She's got issues. But your brother is kill myself crazy because there's no other. There's nothing else besides that. You can, I mean, yes, there's other things with Jamie Lee Curtis, but like the crux of that episode is like her cooking all that food for them and no one really appreciating it and being like, I do this all for you.
But
and
also
like,
the refusal of literally anybody's help.
Right, yeah. You know?
And it's to get into that episode, seeing like,
that, I mean, she's him, he's her. It's that simple. Well, he can't let anybody have. That's the thing. He probably, like his brother, had to do it all by himself. It had to be him. And it's only that he's gotten into this place that was the family joint that was left to him, where a family member / not family member, cousin, whatever, all these people who know him, it's like if he could just fucking get out of his own way and let them help him, he's going to be great. And I feel like because you see, as Claire shows up, he starts delegating more. More people start making things and bringing him things, which is not all on his back. And you see that, and like when he goes out to the party, and like these few other times with her, where it's like there is that clarity, but at the same time he's playing with like, what have I done with my life?
Right. Well, the reveal of the final night, which is basically like, yeah, he kind of self-sabotages because he can't help himself. But the real surprise of that is like, well, guess what? Your fucking team, they did the work. They've been doing the work the whole fucking time. Yeah. Like, you took your eye off the ball, but guess what? Richie stepped up. Like, Sydney stepped up. They made it through. And that, like, that whole segment of locking him away and all of that. Yeah. So great. Okay. Backtracking just a little bit to the tail end of season 1. When they reveal the brother, how much are you just like, oh, dude, you just took it up a notch?
Like 4 or 5 notches.
It's just a taste. It's just a taste.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, when you open episode 6 and you see him again, did you also, like me, have the collective feeling of just like, oh, I saw this one's like an hour. Like, are they about to do what I think they're gonna do? And then the escalating, like, I just, in my head, I was
just,
that
fucking fork at me.
No, just in my head, I was like, oh, they're outside. They're like, the very opening of the episode, like, siblings are having a cigarette break. And they're just talking about it. I was like, oh, okay, this is a couple of years ago. And I was like, they're gonna go inside that house and like, I don't think we're gonna come out. I was like the whole episode's gonna be in that house. I was like, this is probably about to be intense. I was like, and it was the last one I was watching for that night. I kind of in my head I was like, I don't know, dude. Yeah, I might burn through it all this evening. But I had seen that one was an hour, and by the time I got to the end of it, dude, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm good. Take a nice little breather.
To the point that I didn't watch it. Like, I knew I had a few left after that, and I was like, I'm gonna wait.
Which I think is it's perfect time to take a little break.
Yeah.
But yes, just an absolute like tour de force. And the biggest compliment I can pay it, and a lot of people already have, is just you bring in all of those guest stars, which should be distracting. Like the fact that everybody that pops in there is just like, oh shit, oh,
Bob Odenkirk's here.
Like, it should be too much. But the thing that saves it is everybody fucking comes to play. Everybody comes to play in the world of the bear.
Yes.
Everybody feels like they fit into the style, the energy that everybody else bring in there. One of my absolute favorites and biggest crushes, Gillian Jacobs as Richie's ex fiance. I guess, did they actually get married? I guess we don't. We don't know if it like got called off or what. But Gillian Jacobs, who is on Love, the Netflix show, one of my all-time favorites. I see her pop in. I'm like, dude. It's just one of those things where you're picturing the casting people and the creators of the show, and you're just like, okay, like I see your taste. I see you like some of the same stuff I do, but then also that feeling of just like, dude, everybody in the industry like loved season 1 of this show. Clearly, there were probably so many people that were like, "Get me on
I'll do
that
it for
fucking
scale.
thing. I'll do it for scale, motherfucker." Like, you clearly got that feeling of just like, "Oh, people love this." Like, people were so excited to show up for this. Sarah Paulson and John Mulaney, and it's like,
God,
dude. And it doesn't need to be said. Like, I don't need to bring it up to like lift this even further. But like, the most recent Mulaney special, he was coming back after the rehab, the stuff with the wife, the divorce, the baby, Olivia Munn, all of that stuff. And it's always weird when somebody has to come back and like kind of choose what they're going to address or not address. And that is a very like forward facing, like I'm going to try and like own all of it or whatever. And I didn't really like it. I didn't really like it that much. I didn't think it was like that funny. I thought it was a little overlong, a little cringy, as the kids would say in parts. And it was a little bit of a bummer. Okay. And then he comes in to this episode and not only like reminds me why I love him, because he has just incredible comedic timing and it's just great. The stuff with him and the Fact Brothers, like, yeah, I have $500. I'm a 35-year-old man. Like, I have $500 in my bank account.
I could turn it into 1,500.
Like, all that stuff.
Go fuck yourself.
But the beautiful fucking speech that he get, the grace that he says. And I was just like, I've never seen him do this though. I was like, and of course he of course he can do this because he's a great storyteller,
great writer,
and I was genuinely floored by it. I was like, holy shit. And that's just like one little moment in an hour of just like incredible moments. But like Mulaney and Paulson with the Fact, like, she just felt like an aunt, dude. She felt like the cool aunt at your fucking like family function, even though it's Chicago and it's this she's the cool aunt who lives in New York. Like, she made it out. She lives in the city. Like, all of that stuff that it's like, that's not my lived experience, but like those dynamics and those sentiments, it's like anybody can relate to this. Right. Even if you didn't grow up in a fork throwing, table flipping type family, which in thankfully Chicago, we did not. But it's like, but it just feels so lived in. Getting to see like way more of Bernthal and getting to see him and Richie, Eben Moss-Bacharach,
dude,
in like their dynamic back then, dude. Side note, the runners for we'll talk about Richie in the next episode. Sorry, okay, but who else is in? And then Odenkirk is like, again, I don't know quite where he fits in. Is he an actual uncle?
You see, that's what I thought. It was like either he's, I don't think he can't be Jamie Lee Curtis's brother. He's got to be. Maybe he's like a brother.
Maybe he's a brother-in-law and the sister's dead or something. I don't know. Yeah. But I love that it's left vague and we're kind of like feeling our way through the family dynamics.
Right.
The tension, obviously, that escalates between him and Bernthal is just like, dude, bottle that shit. Like, I'd watch hours of those two going at it. Like,
because we're not told when it is. What if that's the first big Thanksgiving without Dad? Like, maybe Dad had been there all these times, and this was the first one without him. Like,
I don't know.
That's what, and again, I don't remember what
timeline stuff is very vague, and I don't know if they even reference like how long the dad's been gone.
Right, but
I didn't even. I mean, the way it was left, and I think intentionally so. They never mention his mom in the first season, or maybe they do, and I don't know. I don't know if Sugar ever brings up the mom or anything. But to my recollection, it's like even when after episode 6, when we come back into present timeline, there was still a question in my mind of like, oh, Jamie Lee Curtis is probably dead.
Right.
Like, I didn't expect to see her again. So that was like mom's still around kind of thing. Like, dude, shit. Okay.
When what's her, not Sam, was it, what's the sister's name?
Sugar.
When her baby daddy goes outside, Pete, when Pete goes outside to talk to her, and she's like,
that guy also on Love.
Yeah.
Great character on Love.
And she's just like, I love him. I do, but I don't know how to tell him I love him. And just his reaction of like, I'm in this family. I'm having a child with this woman's child.
Right.
What can I do to make sure that my wife is never this way to whatever child we have. Like, the realization on his face, to me, this is just what I read from, maybe I'm off base, but the way he played it and looked at it, just like elation that, like, the mother said, I love you, because he's dealt with it more than Bear, of like living with that daughter and like, I hate it when you ask me if I'm fine or how I'm doing, whatever. And like, now coming full circle to him, like, oh, I'm having a baby with this woman, and this is like potentially what my spouse, whatever, she could potentially wind up just like her mom, essentially. I hope to God that doesn't happen. That's what I read on his face and why he got upset. That's what I read. That's just what I'm reading.
That's not how I took that scene at all.
Well, no, just seeing what happened, having that juxtaposed with what just had happened at Thanksgiving. I mean, she drove a fucking car through the house, right?
Sure.
So he has that, and probably many other instances of Jamie Lee Curtis just being that character, like,
right,
whatever. Just the idea of like them not ever having a normal relationship, mother-daughter, the possibility of like he's bringing a child into the world with this woman, and like, is that ever going to get patched up? Is she going to be a good grandmother? All this other things, like, just all that on his face. I could see. I don't know. I thought it was, maybe I'm reading way more into it than I thought, but that's just where my head went watching that episode, or that part of the finale, or the last episode, where he went out to speak to her and she was trying to be like, I just don't know, like, I'm here.
Yeah, no,
I can't go inside.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty simple. She's telling him, tell me it's okay. Like, tell me it's okay to go. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't want to say that because he knows Sugar wanted her there. She wants to tell her about the baby and celebrate, like, look at what Carmi's doing. Like, things are going great. And Jamie Lee Curtis has that thing. She knows, like, they did something great all on their own, away from me. I always ruin the good thing. I can't go in there. She, for her own selfish reasons, but ultimately, like, it's probably a good thing, is like, I can't, like, no, they've made something beautiful, I'll fuck it up, essentially. His frustration and his anguish right there is like, I know how much it would mean to my wife for you to just come inside right now and just make this work, but I understand also that, like, you need me as your son-in-law to, like, absolve you of the guilt of, like, hey, you really should come in here and, like, just let everybody be. But, like, I know I need to, like, the angst of, like, I wish you could be different. I wish this could all be okay, but you can't do this. And I'm stuck in between it. I have to be the messenger guy to go disappoint my wife, essentially. That's why I took it as him getting so emotional. It was just like, I know that would have meant something to you, and I can't even tell you that she did show up. She did try and show up for you, because even that would have meant something, but I promised her I wouldn't. And, like, to your point, like, he's in the family now. Like, you can't not, you have loyalty to your wife, but you also are like, well, shit, that's my mother-in-law. I did promise her, like, I'm not going to say she was here, that whole thing. But no, I thought that was great, Jamie Lee Curtis, too, of just like, is it okay? Like, or I need you to tell me that it's okay. Like, let me feel okay about leaving this, even though obviously it's not okay. Like, you really should make this better. Yeah, and again, right after Mulaney gives that incredible, like, grace speech and everything, is that when the fork thing escalates?
It keeps
going. Or
going.
does she come? I think she comes in with all the food right after that, or what? It's something fucks it up almost immediately, which is she gets upset, like, after the grace, something goes wrong. Oh, it's Sugar asked her, like, are you okay? The one thing she's not supposed to say, and it, like, triggers or whatever. But yeah, and then the Bernthal Odenkirk thing of just like, don't throw that fucking fork. Because, like, that felt so
I just gotta borrow this
real
for a minute.
So insanely real, and you're just like, don't do it. He's fucking, oh my god,
yeah,
so well played. Great episode. Again, a lot of emotional fireworks. I think it is the equivalent of that first season episode where they do the oneer, which we didn't really talk about, but the one unbroken 20-minute take episode where everything goes to shit the first day they turn on the to-goes, which is definitely like a nightmare that I've had many a time, which is just like, but what if all the tablets are going off at once, and all the DoorDashes and all the Ubers and all the online orders are all coming through simultaneously, and I can't confirm them all at once? What will we do? Yeah, that
fire
was
everything.
I mean,
Just
that was
everything.
literally. Have I sent you the Have you seen any parody videos of that?
Yeah, I think you sent me
I
one.
can't remember if
Maybe.
there's a peanut butter and jelly one, which is just incredible. If that doesn't sound familiar, I gotta show it to you.
I think
but,
so.
Yeah, great stuff. That one, but I think that episode 6 is like, oh, everybody's looking for like, that's what this show does, and I think very intentionally the first couple episodes of season 1 are a different gear. It's like we're building, we're in the in-between time, and I love the run-up of like when they first get into like the concept and like, okay, we know what we got to do, and like, oh, we need to open earlier than we thought. And that night when they go home and it's like clearly he and Sydney can't, like nobody can sleep, and they all come back because just like when you have that idea of like, oh, I know exactly what I want to fucking do, it's like you just want to start doing it. You don't want anything to get in the way of that. So it's a different energy, but it's paced differently. It's a little more like fun, casual, not as intense. We have that like incredible like pot boiler episode right in the center of it, and then right after it, again, it's the best fucking episode of the series, Forks, where Richie, coming off of like, again, that bedroom scene with him and Gillian Jacobs, where you just see it's like they're so sweet and fucking perfect together, and like he seems like such a better guy when he's with her, and like you're just like, what happened? It's like, well, he never made the next move. You know, he's talking to Oliver Platt about like he's trying to get something, try and build a future. And I love Oliver Platt like bailing him out of the like, oh yeah, we talked about, there's the little dinner table where just little tiny, just like people being nice to each other. It's just it's good, man. It's good shit. Them teasing him about Carmy, about Claire Bear, all that stuff.
Dude, she took the glasses off Carm. Yeah, fucking Claire Bear, Carm. Dude, she's hot.
Okay, so the Richie episode, and let's talk about, because there's some other little tiny thing. We start out the season with him kind of like, you know, I got to find my purpose, blah blah blah. Little beats where I'm just like, dude, like you said, you know this guy, we know this guy. I was just like, dude, they're in our brains. Little stuff like, what's the Wi-Fi password?
Right.
Go Fast Boats Mojitos. I was like, dude, hell, he has Ridley Scott posters everywhere. He has fucking White Squall poster. I was listening to Chris Storer, the creator, on one of the podcasts I follow, and he was just like, yeah, like the production design, they went really great. Like you can't see all this, but if you look at his bookshelf, there's like, you know, the art of Blade Runner, and like, you know, he is a Ridley Scott obsessive. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, his like him being it like that dude into like, you know, Michael Mann, Ridley Scott. I love the 80s and 90s, just like man movies. His whole vibe. So great. And then the Taylor Swift of it all in that episode.
I will tell you this, I enjoyed that entire episode in spite of all that.
100, same.
Like
I was like, you made me do the 180. I love early, it was like episode 3 where he's like, sorry, you know, daddy just needed a break or whatever. I was like, that's the most real shit ever, I'm sure. I'm so glad I don't have to listen to that. But yeah, to take it full, you know, full 180 and have me like basically singing along with him when he is celebrating in episode 7.
And there was that split second after the celebration, I was like, this is where he gets in the car wreck. This is where some terrible shit happens to him. And I'm so glad it didn't.
And again, the only real...
hang on. Is that the episode where she does talk to him about, like, I did say he did propose to me and I told him I'm going to get married to him? Is that the same episode?
That's in that episode, which I think is beautiful as well, because it's like he's on the highest of highs, and you're coming in with that knowledge now of how things used to be between them, and you're seeing him like get his shit together, find his purpose, and you're like, dude, he's fucking doing it. Like maybe he could, you know, maybe he could get back together, but you realize just like too much time has passed. They already set it up with the daughter earlier, mentioning that like, you know, he might propose, blah, blah, blah. And so having that happen, and the way he plays that on his face, and you see the growth, and as much as like he's able to be happy for her and supportive in that moment, even though you know it is like fucking killing him inside. It's just so incredibly well acted.
So, okay, this is just taking a second for the to talk about the music, just we talked Taylor Swift. There is.
I was gonna ask you about how you feel about the tunes in general.
Well, yeah, but like I like the music cues are great. You know, all the ones I know, and they're great. But there is
Got Bruce Hornsby. You got no complaints.
Yeah, exactly. There's the third verse in a Big Red Machine song. A lot of people have like they have equated to this whole thing of like self-improvement, getting better, doing the work after some sort of like loss and or tragedy. And it cut the grass, tend the flowers, downing bottles by the crease, light a smoke up in the sunroom and pretend I'm a tree, prove it not rock of ages, in a row they're all lies to me. So like the way it's sung in the cadence that Justin Vernon sings it, it has this feel of like I'm doing shit. I'm getting things done. I'm getting better as a person after something bad happened to me. And in this case, it's a man who's no longer with the woman he loves. So like just the tie-in of like I'm hearing Taylor Swift, thinking about her and Justin Vernon with Exile. I went back to that song and all this stuff with Richie. It's one of those things that it's like there's such reverence and like you just there's certain things you see in shows that it's like you weren't expecting it, because I wasn't expecting it, but I would not have looked here for it in the first place anyway. Just these life affirming things, and I don't know if it's a testament just to like great writing or if a testament to just like what this medium, this genre, whatever it is, can do for you. But it's the reason why we all love stories. Human beings, Homo sapiens, we love stories. We wrote them on cave walls. When we started talking and we understood each other, we started telling them all the whatever. They get jumbled up, they get passed down for years. But just the idea of somebody who had it good at one point, something happened and he doesn't anymore, and you just see him start to pick up the pieces, and you get that like what he's doing, he's gonna be okay. And it doesn't matter what happens to him. You know that like he's gonna be okay, and you don't have to worry about him anymore. It's not like I was worried about Richie the entire show, but like when I see this, I'm just like, this could not happen to anybody else. The facts, her, Sydney, Bear, even it couldn't, you know.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it happens to him, and the fact that he is all of us, like I'm stodging forks. I'm like the oldest dude who ever stodged shit before, right? Yeah. No. Okay. But yeah. Why do they do that? Well, this is how we communicate. Okay. All right. Well, why does this happen? Well, you just watch this. Just like, look, man, I fucking and again, it's crazy because it makes complete sense that a lot of people who get into that are people who may or may not at one point in time been extremely selfish in their choices. Alcoholics, drug addicts, all that. And it is a nice sentiment that the person who's explaining all of this to him is like, yeah, dude, I used to love alcohol and I got sober, and now all I want to do is serve other people. Because like I come up against that constantly. I fucking hate my job. I've told everybody to, well, listen, I don't like it. But there are several moments where there are children who are just starting out, 17, 18, that actually listen to me. And then there are people who didn't think they could do certain things because of their past with their credit or whatever, that finally are allowed to like do something financially that's going to make them, benefit them, or like allow them to do something they've always wanted to do, take a trip, do something. And like, I only want to go there for them. Like the people who can't get into their online banking or lost their debit card, need another one, fuck them. I don't care. But the people who it's going to matter to, like that's who I go there for. And so I get it, that the idea of like every single person that comes into your restaurant can be someone that that's gonna matter. I totally get like why you would want to do that job.
Yeah.
You would do it for free if they asked you, because you get that feeling. It's worth more than any amount of money.
Yeah, what does she say? Every night I get to make somebody's night.
Yeah. Somebody you literally, you have the chance to do it to everybody.
I mean, that's the entire like service industry in a nutshell. For the people that really give a shit about it, I mean, there's definitely people who are like, I'm here for the paycheck. Period. I'm doing the bare minimum.
And Richie was there for, I mean, he wasn't.
But that's that. But again, that's the whole idea of like
the arc of like, yeah, he.
But honestly, it's like, you know, finding purpose is just like take some fucking pride in yourself and the thing you do. If you're gonna do something, like, you know, do it the best you can do it. And he like jumps in full bore, and he wears suits now. Dude.
Yeah. The minute he showed up in a suit, I was like, this dude. He
just so fucking great. I mean, he overwhelmed my emotions in the back half of the season. That episode is absolutely incredible. But to continue the through line of him, to get to that final night where it's just like you said, there's no fear of like, I knew he was going to step up. Yeah. I knew he was going to step up and go transition from front of the house to back of the house, call all the orders, make it fucking work, like pull everything off without a fucking hitch. I knew he was going to do it. And then when he is screaming at Carmi through the freezer, and he's so angry because it's like, dude, you like, what'd you say to her? You fucked it up. To your point, it's like, no, you were doing a good thing. Like, you had what I had. Like, yeah. No, that was Claire. This wasn't just somebody. This was Claire. Like, you have a bond with that person, blah, blah, and you fucked it. He's like, he's so mad because he sees somebody making the same fucking mistake that he's made. It doesn't want him to fall into it. They're like immediately like all of a sudden they're at each other's throats again. Go, like, the whole like, oh, you're just a fucking leech. You've just been sucking off my family. It's like, you know, he doesn't actually feel that way, but it's just like the mean shit you say to each other when you really want to hurt somebody that you know knows you.
They've done it their entire show. Like when they were fighting, and the next thing you know, he goes to get the sauce and it's money, and he's like, cousin, help, and then boom, they're all going in the sauce getting the money. It's like, it's one of those things that it's like you get. That like it feels like, at least, well, because like when he blows up at Sydney, and he blows up at Marcus or whatever, and they both are like, I love their relationship, and like they're kind of like, this fucking guy, but they know like he is the fucking guy, you know. She says multiple times like, like he was the best chef in the fucking world, like why would I not want to work for him, you know.
Well, again, the idea that he cooked literally the best meal she ever tasted, and she was just like, that guy. I got it. Like that's the dude I want to learn from.
Exactly. And so and so much is like, he's like, what are you gonna do? I'll probably go back. Like I'll go back in a day or two. And just the subtle not like, and the thing I think is the greatest is because it's what all of us want. All of us want the person who essentially, when you break it down, signs your paychecks. We want them to take ownership of the idea that maybe, just maybe, they were a fucking dick. If they were a fucking dick. If they weren't, they don't have to. But when you're a fucking dick, just own it. And say, I'm sorry. And try not to do it again.
Amicably.
Move forward. Yeah, exactly. You know, the way that she talks to him about stuff, and the way that just his conversations with Sydney alone are some of like the best.
The stuff under the table with them. That's the thing is like, I want to be like, that's the magic. That's the heart and soul, is the Carmi-Sydney relationship. And it kind of is. But I'm also like, but it's also this Richie thing. Like, and it's also like, again, excuse me, I kind of fucked it up earlier. Like, Richie, like you said, won me over within the course of the first season, where I was like, this guy's got some heart to him. I like him, blah, blah, blah. And then blew my mind in the second season. I wouldn't even call it a weak point, but the only person that was kind of like a question mark for me first season was Maddie Matheson as Fack. And I think part of that is like, not an actor, like definitely just a first time, you know, part of that just maybe just being a little green. But another character that I felt like they like totally just, I fucking love that guy. Dude, I'm so into him now.
Yeah. Marcus is saving their ass in every
Marcus's whole arc, which we didn't even mention, of like the season opens with him taking care of his mother.
Right.
And you have that again, the subversion of expectations the whole time he's in, is it Amsterdam? Where does he go for? Or is it Finland? Sweden? Where does he go for?
Sweden, Amsterdam, somewhere over there.
Iceland? I don't know. But anyway,
it looked like Amsterdam.
I think he's in Iceland, Reykjavik or something. Anyways, okay. But the whole time of him being there and the anxiety of like leaving her, and you think maybe, oh, something bad's gonna happen or whatever, and it doesn't. But then they have that victory of the opening night and everything, the friends and family night, and then we have that lingering for potentially season 3, that it's like he was getting calls the whole night. Like a little bit of the reality setting in, where it's like not everything can be fucking, you know, great the whole time. The idea that Sydney, like, you know, kills it, gets everything together, but then, you know, is like sick to her stomach afterwards, and it's like, what did I just sign up for? I did one night of that. I got to do this over and over and over again. Like, all of that. So,
but she didn't eat, right? I mean, I feel like she talks about like telling her dad, like, I'm probably not going to eat now, or like I'll eat later. I don't know. I took that as like, yes, it is taxing, but also like in the nerves and the like, oh my god, or whatever. But like also, little girl didn't eat anything. Like she needs to eat food, you know.
Oh yeah, but I also just took it as like the
adrenaline
toll.
rush. Yeah, coming down off the adrenaline, you throw up.
For
sure, I get it.
Also had was it Alex Moffat like doing crystal meth in the back? Is that crystal meth? Like,
oh, you're gone, dude.
Can I fire that guy?
Yes, you definitely should. Yeah, he doesn't come back in here. Yeah.
Any other? I mean, again, I think the Claire Carmi thing is salvageable. I obviously think I think to me personally, we should get one more season.
Yeah.
Because we had Operating the Beef, you know, which is about like reconciling your past with like trying to do something new. That was kind of the war, and it's continued into the second season. Second season definitely, you know, work-life balance seems to be kind of at the center of it. But again, the whole thing is ramping up and building something. So to me, season 3 needs to be okay, but now the practicalities of sustaining something. They did a lot of setting up in season 2 of how crazy the restaurant ended, like literally in our real world, which this show takes place in, how crazy the restaurant industry is post-COVID, and how places that have been around for 30, 40 years are just dropping like flies, even established places and stuff. So I think watching them navigate that in a season 3 could be really compelling. I think there's enough dramatic threads on the characters to kind of like get some people to different places and like have everybody in a nice spot. But this is also a show that I don't think necessarily needs to like go on forever. But yeah, I see one more, like, if they can do a hat trick and pull off another like borderline like flawless season of these emotional highs, dude, we're talking about one of the greatest shows of all time, easily to me. Any other final thoughts on The Bear seasons 1 or 2? Anything we didn't? I feel like we shouted out everybody we really enjoy. I mean, what's not to like? And again, we're late to the party on this one. I'm glad you finally caught up, and I will do you the favor, the common goddamn courtesy of watching Ted Lasso now that you have made it all the way through The Bear for me.
Because again, I don't think you need, when you end season 3 of Lasso, I don't think you need another one, much like this show as the parallel of like, I think it could come back again with a solid third season, and you can wrap everything up, or you can let everything go.
Basically, like we said, we kind of fundamentally know after Forks Richie's going to be okay. I do need to know that Carmi is going to, like, I do have enough emotional investment in him as a lead protagonist.
Yeah.
I do want to at least end the show knowing whether he will or will not be okay. Because, like, definitively one way or the other, because it is definitely in flux at the end of season 2.
Right.
That character is not settled. He is maybe as unsettled as he's ever been.
I think the timeline, you put him under the gun for making sure they can make the money they need to pay Oliver Platt back on time, on schedule. And either the midway point and then like the back half of like, are you going to be okay, comes with Sugar's baby, or you leave Sugar's baby as the finale. And like, okay, we all have realized like who we are, what we do. And now we are like in this place where like my sister's having a child, my mom's getting a grandchild. Can that be this whole thing of like understanding that like we all have this fucked up thing going on in our life? We know we need balance. We know like our dad's been gone, our brother, your son killed himself. Can we get all that past us and realize that we're going to be okay as long as we can be open and communicate with each other? And you use the catalyst of like her having the child as like how to mend all that together. If that's even something you think would happen to these characters, because that's one thing I can say. I can't think of a show like this. There's nothing else like it on TV. But at the same time, I can't think of a show where I'm just like, I would have never done that with that character, but that's exactly what that character needs. Like,
Right.
if I'm in the writing room, I don't think of that at all, but it's also fucking perfect. I couldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing if you paid me. I couldn't do it. You know?
It is something special, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be shocked if anything tops it. And again, coming off of the kind of last big round of TV we talked about, I was like, it'd be hard pressed to fucking beat Succession or Barry for me. And I knew the bear was looming, but I thought I was like, even if it's as good as season 1, like, yeah, I feel pretty confident saying Succession's number 1. But I was just absolutely knocked out. Again, I would put that episode, I would put Forks and I forget what the Thanksgiving episode was called, but I would put those 2 episodes up against all of the best Successions from this year, which was like, I think we have like 4 or 5 highlight ones from the final season, and then some of the best of Barry. I mean, if we did an episodes list of TV this year, I'm like, how many? We'd have to be like, we can't name more than 3 from some series,
you have
because
to pick 2 from one season.
Yeah,
one series.
That would be very difficult.
You only get 2. Where are you gonna put them?
Oh man, I don't even want to think about that right now. What I do want to think about is
Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers.
Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers. You telling me you and Dusty Daniels touched dicks? Or excuse me, did you fuck Dusty Daniels?
Who knows?
he's like, what? Oh my god, no! What is his reaction? Oh god, I botched it. I botched it.
Ooh wee. Ooh wee, sucker.
I think he's just like, I don't know. But it was Y2K.
Yeah.
Threw caution to the wind.
But Dustin was in Monaco, wherever the fuck they were.
He was partying with Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman, the actor? It was either him or somebody looked a hell of a lot like Gene Hackman.
Unfortunate being looking a hell of a lot
Dude,
like
when
him.
they cut into the flashback, though, it's just like, it's Gene fucking Hackman.
I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be rude, but Becky out loud goes, "That's not Gene Hackman." I was like, "Yes, it is Gene Hackman."
That's why it's so fucking
That's the best part of it.
Dude,
oh
if oh my
died.
god, I would have given so much. I don't know where they shot that, but I would have given so much to be a fly on the wall for Shea Wiggum and
Oh my god,
and Walton
The shit
Goggins
they-
drunken.
I just want like
drunken, coked up party night.
yeah. I just
Holy
want like
shit,
all the
dude.
outtakes of that, all this the bullshit they were doing, just them laying, look at each other.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
Okay, first of all, season 3, I think the show just gets better and better. I absolutely loved it, top to bottom. The commitment
To Bible Bonkers.
to Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers, and just knowing that, like, literally every time they say it, it's funny. It doesn't matter if it's Baby Billy saying it. It doesn't matter if it's any of the
Anybody saying it.
Gemstone
Right.
saying it. Is fucking hilarious. But again, the commitment and the realization in the finale of, like,
What he's like, well, you know, Dusty like competition now.
I was just
I was like, I knew exactly
in the
where we're
premiere
going.
episode of Bible Bonkers, I was just like, holy shit, didn't see it coming. I love that it's the whole. I mean, they have the like the proto version of it when they're doing the cousins night,
Right.
Which was one of my first inklings of the season where I was just like, dude, they're hitting it, dude. They're hitting that weird Eastbound place where I was just like, it's absurd and it's so over the top, but like, why are you tugging at my heartstrings? When they all are driving away at the end of that Cousins Night episode and they're all friends and they start howling, I was just like, it's a like borderline indescribable particular tone that only exists between McBride, Jody Hill, David Gordon Green, this crew. But there's this, it's the penultimate episode of Eastbound and Down season 2, and it's just them driving back from Mexico. And I think the song is Comforting Things by a band called Mew, and it's just him and Stevie like barreling down the road headed home back to North Carolina. And it's just this moment in that show where I was just like, I fucking love these people so much. Yes. I care about I was just like, and this show would be great if it didn't have this stuff. but the fact that it does is what makes it special. The fact that it can be like, yeah, we will have a scene in our penultimate episode this season where fucking BJ literally helicopters his dick. We will have a full-on naked fight.
The fact that he
we'll
says...
do all of those things, but you will also have genuine, like, emotion and pathos, like, for these fucking characters. The commitment to it is just, I respect it so much, and I don't think it plays for everybody. And I part of me wants to just be like, it's a Southern thing,
it's
dude.
It's a Charleston
it's
thing,
just
baby. That's just what
it's not
is.
even it's just a particular type of just like, we can be all things at once. It's okay to be this fucking weird, dude.
We can do all things through Christ our Lord.
Exactly.
Yes, that's exactly it.
But
Dude,
I was absolutely knocked out by this season. Just it's a free for all. We don't have to go episode by episode. Just
Okay. I just want to hit the beats of like big up top. We have to talk about flashback episode. Those the actors who are playing the younger version themselves, Jesse especially, fucking, I've never seen anything like it. A kid that is just spot on.
And I love that it's been a runner through every season. We get a midway through.
Right.
We get our little interlude.
And
flashback.
we start with a flashback, much like
Yeah.
season 2. We started with Eli flashback. Now we're flashback with Amy Lee. Fucking Steve Zahn. Oh, fucking guys, Steve Zahn. A treat for me. I don't know about you. Fucking Sturgill Simpson as like.
Oh yeah, in the
dude,
back half.
The minute he started singing, I looked at back. So I was like, "Is that fucking Sturgill Simpson?" I had to go look it up. I was like, "Oh my god, it is!" And the fact that he plays on like at least was it two full episodes almost of like what you playing
as the main antagonist.
Yeah, exactly.
To
I
Steve
love
Zahn.
it.
Yeah,
I love it. It's just so. I mean, you get like I get that the first season we kind of had like Gideon like wanting to like do his own thing and going about it the wrong way to end with him back in the fold and like obviously he's Eli's driver, all this kind of stuff. Like I don't know, it's just one of those where like what was the other day when you mentioned it, like BJ having like going over to that house to fight the man who like didn't sleep with your wife but kind of did
that kind of shit where it's like, oh yeah, we had a torrid affair where it's like, oh yeah, we dry humped a couple times. You're just like, what? Like, and then it's gonna be this big scandal within the church, and BJ's so upset by it.
The fact that he goes over, dude is just there, just jerking off like it's nothing. They have a fight, and BJ is losing. And when he comes to, the man has dragged him out on his lawn naked, and BJ just grabs the fuck out of his ball sack and beats him. What the fuck? To go from that
only on this show, dude. When Judy is initially trying to break up with him, and it's just like, I can't see you no more. The Edie Patterson's line deliveries
she is so
throughout this series, but she literally destroys me. The way she talks to John Goodman, I'm like, I need the outtakes. I was like, there's no way John Goodman can sit there and take that.
No,
like
not at all.
he has to be breaking every little bit,
dude. It's like, okay. Did you or did you not see like when they all finally get back together and they're doing their slow-mo walk-in, and Kelvin runs back? Did you not see that coming, or were you waiting for it for 3 seasons? I've been waiting for it for 3 seasons.
Oh no, I've been waiting for it. Oh, absolutely, I've been waiting for it for 3 seasons, to the point where I was literally like, I was like, okay, maybe we're building up there for a finale or whatever, and part of me was just like, but that is also so much of their dynamic. The humor is the will they, won't they, and just like, oh my god, they're so perfect for each other, but they just like they can't let themselves be themselves. And so part of me was just like, but maybe they're just, this is another one of them just like running it right up to the edge, but maybe not this season. So when he doubled back, that was an audible like, fuck yeah, dude. I was so excited.
Even better is the look on everyone's face.
Oh, the reaction shots are fantastic.
And they're just like, Jesse's like, like, all right. Like he's into it. And Kelvin's walking like 12 feet tall because he just kissed his boyfriend. It is so fucking good, dude.
Dude, them burning.
Oh my god.
The butt plugs gotta smell funny. Like,
He
The
recognized
fumes
me
from the butt plugs are making me nauseous. Keith. Also, they say his name like that all the Keith.
Yeah.
But seeing it written out when they have the chairs at the end, dude, Redeemer, like,
yes,
the commitment to that again every time we see it, just Redeemer.
Dude,
absolutely loved it. Lucas Haas as one of the cousins. That was a nice surprise.
Okay, tell me how old Lucas Haas is.
47.
Tell me how old Steve Zahn is.
Like 52.
5.
Okay.
They're 8. They're like 8 years. 8 years apart, and they're playing father and son. I love it.
Okay, so this is a fun one. So the opening of the finale, when they pull into the parking lot, he ends up like blowing it up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That is El Molino. That's where I have started going in the last like 6 months or so to get the best tacos in Charleston. There's like a taqueria built into the back of it. So about like, I don't know, probably like 8-9 months ago now, I'm reading the Post and Courier or whatever, like random article comes up, and it's that parking lot in the state that you see it post explosion or whatever, and it's like, local, Righteous Gemstones filming in Charleston or whatever, unaware passersby call it, people were calling it in because they were like, what the fuck happened out there? But so when they pull up there in the episode, I was like, oh dude, I love them, like that's cool, they're getting a little shout out or whatever. And he's like, oh, I gotta go use the coin machine. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they'll actually go in. And then he goes in, and I'm like, oh, dude, cool. They didn't change any of the set dressing. It's like, that's what it looks like, blah, blah, blah. And then fucking explosion goes, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, I go there like probably like once every 2 weeks to get birria and fucking like queso, all sorts of stuff. It's great. Yeah, if you're in Charleston, El Molino, fantastic.
Where's it at?
It's like 5 minutes from here.
What street's it on?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have those details in front of me.
I always do that. Like, I would try to look at stuff. So, like, obviously, they're like, they showed them going down International Boulevard and stuff. Like, I always just try to pick out different places. Like, oh, I know where that is.
Yeah, no, that was my biggest one for the season. Because I'm like, oh, I go there semi-regularly or whatever. And I remember when they were shooting there. But I do know I didn't cross paths with it. And then I was blown away by just, like, what they did, visual effects wise and everything in that space. I was like, that's
the one
cool.
thing, like, if I can actually get down here in time early or just make a separate trip to talk to her, that's one thing I would love to talk to my friend that works on that show about, is like, what was the biggest like set thing for her this year? Because I know that's all she does is like set deck and stuff. I'm pretty sure she's probably had some fun stories. I want to know about, like, I would like to ask her, like, do you still have any Bible Bonkers like set pieces? And like, are they gonna auction them off? Because I would love to buy his face that spins around in it. Like, I would love that.
Okay, so that whole finale with bringing it, they set it up very early on when they're driving to El Molino. They get a bug on the windshield. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, whatever. And then they just like slowly kind of thread it throughout the episode. But the build up to, we're doing Bible Bonkers. We're bringing back in the Simpkins crew from the first episode. Because I was kind of like, dude, Steven Dorff was fun. But like,
he was good.
We kind of dropped that. Like nothing, what happened with that? But I guess, oh, dude, the Cape and Pistol Society.
Oh, my God. When you're going to get a black side for that one. What's the big deal? You get naked for that one.
I dare you to get naked. When he's like, I don't know why it's not worth reenacting for a podcast, but them twirling, and then he's like, don't go getting dizzy on the way out of here.
And he just stumbles into the mall and catches himself and just, okay.
Man, I
so fucking good,
love it.
Dude.
But yeah, so bringing back in Dorff was clutch, dude. And the way they just like paid everything off with like, oh, we got to win over Dusty Daniels, like when everything goes to shit, and how all of that played out for it to just be like, oh, okay, yeah, and they get in good. But the
I gotta go get Daddy. What did he say? I gotta find some titty.
Just the escalation of the locusts coming in. Oh my God, dude! When Baby Billy tries to leave them the answers, like, oh, I'm
getting distracted here.
Just step away. And just like, y'all was lost. Y'all was going through a rough time, and I had to step up. I had to be your dad.
You're not
my daddy. You're not my daddy. That whole rudder is just like, you literally did none of that.
He goes and kisses each one of them and looks at the cousins like, I know. He just leaves. Like,
dude, when he kisses Judy on stage, it's all right, it's my uncle.
I knew, dude. Okay, so I think I told you on the last podcast, but like a buddy of mine I know down here, he got to be, he's sitting in the background of Baby Billy's set with like a big hat and beard and glasses and whatnot. But when he's like, there will be a payday, oh glory, what a payday! I'm like, dude, what have you got to complain about? You were singing by a pool, drinking free drinks in paradise all day long. Dude. Your brother-in-law gave you that, and like your whole thing is, I want to be a game show host. Like, come on, really, Baby Billy? You dreamed of being a game show host? I did. Now, come on, now. And still,
call him a paraplegic and walk my ass. He has all of the best lines. Even like McBride has some killer ones this year. Edie Patterson has some killer ones this year. But Baby Billy has all the best lines. But the ultimate of the entire season, the hardest I've fucking laughed at any single line and delivery, absolutely incredible, was after the whole swarm of locusts come in. We're talking like the set's falling apart, dude. People getting their head crushed. Everything. We go through all of it. And then he's just like, we're going to need some reshoots.
Do some reshoots. I think
the delivery of we're going to have to do some reshoots is the funniest fucking thing.
Someone has died.
Yes, multiple people have died.
Bonka Boys. One of the Bonka Boys has died. Because his head was crushed by your face. It fell off.
We're going to have to do some reshoots. I literally
before that
thought I was going to piss my pants. That shit was so funny.
I was fucking dead, dude. The episode, like it's 2 before, when he rushes into Eli's house and Lionel is crying. He's like, Lionel's been upset ever since he heard. Calm down, Lionel. I'm about to try to kidnap you. Like,
oh my god,
what are you doing?
Just when he shows up, he's like, now Lionel's not gonna miss out on your cousin's night just because he's a baby. Y'all gotta form strong bonds. Oh my god, dude. There was a period of time where I was doing a Justified rewatch before City Primeval came on.
Right.
I was watching Righteous Gemstones, and I was also watching I'm a Virgo, and I was literally like, is Walton Goggins,
you got Goggins good,
the greatest actor of all time?
Dude,
he is.
Get your mind right, half-wits.
So good, dude. So good. That the season killed it. The way they wrapped everything up, dude. I mean, like, Kelvin and Keith realizing that, like, oh yeah, maybe we should like stop our whole like anti-porn crusade, and like that was perfectly pitched.
The ARK of Steve Zahn and
Judy and BJ, yeah, bringing back, like, again, that's the shit that I feel like, you know, some people might find like narratively unsatisfying, or like, oh, he's a big villain or whatever, and like the way things tend to play out with these people. But I'm like, but that's the heart and soul of the show.
Anybody who does anything extremely bad, like, they get their comeuppance. We're forgetting that, like, season 2 ended with, like, the bike, like, killer, bike assassins dude going after Eric Andre and his wife, like, up in Alaska or wherever the fuck they were.
I completely, that's
how that ends. Is
all
like,
of that.
Like, it's like Eli took those bike dudes and paid them to go after the guy that paid him, like, you know, to hunt him down and kill him after, like, the confrontation at Zion's Landing or whatever. So, like, if you're really bad, you'll get your comeuppance. But it's like Steve Zahn, he did his time in prison.
He's family. He didn't so, like, actually blow up anybody.
He didn't really want to hurt anybody. He was tired of being overshadowed. Like, and I love the whole, like, they had a Y2K scandal where they were selling shit that didn't work or they didn't need. They knowingly did it. I love all that. And I did not realize that the woman who plays Amy Lee was like a country star.
Jennifer Nettles.
Yeah, I forgot that. I didn't realize that. Completely awesome. Again, Circle Simpson coming in for the 2 episodes.
But yeah, the way they physically wrap up the finale, though, with where they leave everybody, and they do the thing where they get everybody together. They had the fake out death of Steve Zahn.
Right.
Which, of course, dovetails into it actually being Dusty Daniels.
Dude,
oh my God.
him
Set very close to second runner up for hardest I laughed in the finale was definitely them lowering the NASCAR. I was like, that's just funny. But the literal
fucking car.
The way that shot is paced too is where I was just like, dude, Jody Hill, you're a fucking god, dude, because he knows
just how long to leave it.
He knows just how long to leave it for maximum comedy.
Right.
And it's like, you maybe see that shot inside the interior with his fucking embalmed corpse strapped up to the steering wheel for maybe, I'm talking like maybe a half a second.
Right.
And it was so, I was like, I was already laughing, but you took it to another place, dude. Yes. That was fucking hilarious.
And when they mention, like, you know, he left his whole estate to us, and McBride just turns around and just
they all give him the finger. Yeah.
That's so good, dude.
And then you get everybody together. We reveal, like, Steve Zahn's still alive, of course,
with a blown off foot. So he's got like a
blown off foot. And then we're gonna play Dolly Parton. We're gonna fucking ride. Everybody's gonna take a turn riding Redeemer, and we're just gonna like blow up a bunch of shit. Where it's one of those like those shots of like Baby Billy, and I'm like, that's not them in character. I was like, that's Danny McBride and Walton Goggins being like, can you believe they're letting us do this with HBO's money? Yeah. Look at this! Like, that is literally.
Did you see the preview thing of like the build for the Redeemer episode? Thing? Yeah. Okay. I don't know if they showed that.
When occasionally shows take the time to just be like, you see how fun this looks? Like, do you see how much fun it is to make this thing? Yeah. How much fun we had doing this? And that's where I saw a lot of people online where they were like, this felt like it could have been the series finale. And I'm like, it totally could have. And in that respect, every season kind of could have been that way. They don't really leave like it's not a big like,
you have the over arc of like, okay, are they going to give up the church and that, like, it's a bigger thing, but like the subtlety of Gideon being like, if I wanted to do what you did, would you teach me? And I was like, dude,
that's a very interesting hook.
If they let McBride, which I listened to Adam Devine on he was on Theo Vaughn's podcast, and they asked him, and he was like, he said, as far as I know, McBride wants to do like 2 or 3 more seasons if they'll let him. And I'm like, dude, the next season, you just plant that idea of like your daddy is teaching your son, not you, all the tricks of the trade. Like, you picked up some stuff, but like your father is kind of going past that, and he's teaching your offspring.
Dude, Jesse dropping off his like shit son to the son. Yeah. Dude, okay, so since I rewatched the finale twice in 24 hours, just watching the reaction shots to like Bible bonkers from the shit kid, the one who's got like the face tattoos and everything, he's so in it. He's so into playing. Oh my god,
it's something
I'll
ridiculous.
Look it up. Continue.
It's Gideon. Oh god, I can't think of his name. Because I just go back to earlier with like the whole, like his like girlfriend is over with him, and like the next
Pontius,
Pontius,
not Pontius.
Pontius.
I think he pronounces it Pontius, but yeah, it's Pontius.
Yeah, but like just the scene of like, okay, well, because like again, it's a weird Southern thing. Like, I know that's a thing. Like, you can have your girlfriend over at like your house hanging out,
right?
Maybe even in your room with like the door shut, but like, obviously, like, you don't want to disrespect your family. So the idea, he's just walking through his house, and these two are just fucking like crazy, and he has to back up and go look at him like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, dude, as much as I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, I know people that happened to. Like, I have friends in high school that got caught in their own home, to the point that I had that problem one time, and the girl that was hanging out did not realize I had a lock on the door. She's like, that's fucking crazy. You have a lock on your door. I'm like, don't you? She's like, hell no. My parents would never let me have a lock on the door, much less let a guy in my room with a lock on the door. And I was like, okay, calm down. You know, it's just, this whole fucking season is bad shit, dude. And I like, not even a bad way. Just like, you don't think it's going to go any way that it's going to go. I was, you know, the fact that they get fucking, like, every time the Gemstones, they're the Gemstones, they get fucking crushed on Bible trivia, left and right, to the point, and I love that it's not even a point. It's like, he left you guys the answers. You can't even buzz in because you're too afraid to even answer the damn question. You're like, and I love Kelvin's like, he got it. I knew it. It's like, that doesn't matter, dude. This team gets the points. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And I love he's like, this ain't no Family Feud. Like it's like each person plays. Oh my god, dude! And then fucking Carl, or like when what's his face? What's the other Carl and it's Lucas Haas's character. I can't remember his name. But when he comes back and he's like, sorry, I didn't want anything bad to happen to you, Danny, or Jesse's like, well, I don't accept your apology for possibly saving my life because your dad wanted to blow us up. He's like, I go think about things, and he goes back to the theme park that we haven't seen since like the first or second season. Was it? I don't think we saw it any in the second season, but he goes back to the theme park and he's just driving around on go-karts. But then him walking up and down each aisle when he's trying to talk to him, it's just like,
again,
dude,
just fucking gold.
It's just
dude.
stupid. Like it's like, it's stupid. It's so stupid. Why would you do that? But he's doing it, and it's like that's just what Jesse's gonna do. He's not gonna hop over each one. He's gonna walk up and down each time, ignoring his cousin who's trying to apologize to him.
The song that's playing in that moment too was like
fucking
destroyed
perfect.
me. Yeah, great stuff. I can't wait for more. I'm so glad we get a season 4.
Definitely.
They never disappoint. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other things you want to tag up on? We are 2 hours and 20 minutes into this bad boy.
Let's go ahead and end this baby. Let's put people back to work. Let's not worry about AI right now, so that we can have a season 4 as soon as possible.
Yes, let's get the strike taken care of. Also, yeah, we're watching some other things, but TV has slowed down a bit.
I watched all of that. Arnold's documentary.
Watching What We Do in the Shadows season 5 that is currently airing.
Yeah.
Catching up on Res Dogs, a little behind at the moment.
Yeah, I gotta start.
First 3 of that are out. Sunny, as we mentioned, season 16. A nice little return to form after what I thought was one of the weaker seasons of 15 when they did the whole Ireland stunt. But yeah, and Full Circle, the HBO miniseries from Soderbergh.
Oh, yeah.
Huge recommend on that. And I am thoroughly enjoying Justified City Primeval, which is just midway through its run. So you're watching that?
Oh, yeah.
Are you a Justified guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We never talked about it.
I gotta start Mines. Mom has mentioned Mines like 4 times and how it's ended.
But yeah, so maybe we'll check in on Primeval at the end of all this.
We got 2 more left, right? It's only 6, right?
No, it's 8.
Well, I thought okay.
It's 8. They dropped 2 initially. We've had 2 more. This will be, or tonight, excuse me. It's Tuesday right now. 5 is out tonight, and then
okay, because they had 2
6,
more
7, 8.
up that were being. Yeah. Yesterday they had 2 more up, so 5 and 6, I guess.
Oh, maybe they dropped 2. I don't know, dude.
I think it was 6.
We'll figure it
everything I read said it was a 6-part miniseries.
Okay,
I don't know how
we're
much
settling
further
this
you can
right
go.
now. God damn it.
Because I don't know how much further you can go, like pushing it. I mean, I get the original seasons were like you had an overall bad dude, but they were like multiple guys he had to bring in throughout the show. But like, I feel like they were only doing 6 this time.
8 episodes ending August 29th.
Oh, okay. Yep. Well, that's good. I can dig that.
I can dig as much as they want to give me of it.
Yeah.
And if they want to adapt more Elmore Leonard books and just shove Raylan into them,
might as well.
I'm okay with that too. So yeah, we'll check in on that and some other stuff. I'll tease it right now. Given that everything is kind of, a little dry at the movie theater and at home, pretty much until October from what my calendar seems to say, and things may be getting moved because of the strike, we are going to resurrect 2x2 Retro Review. So the game plan, we're going to do 3 episodes, and we're going to be doing some anniversaries. So we will be tackling 2 movies from 2013, 2 movies from 2003, and 2 movies from 1993. So if you have any suggestions for those, you can shout at us on our individual socials. Gavin is at GingerbeardMan with 2 N's on all the socials. I am at the ARK of E Network on Instagram. You can shout at me there. But yeah, let us know any of your suggestions, again, from 2013, 2003, and 1993. So yeah, we'll announce those in the future, but that's what we're working on. Thank you for bearing with us, and we hope you're enjoying our little summer break as well. Yes, bearing with it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Thank you,
so
Chef.
we've been taking our nice little summer interludes, but I hope you've enjoyed these giant scientist episodes. We'll be back pretty soon with I guess probably the first round of whatever retro review we end up doing. So go let us know what you want us to cover. We'll be starting out with that. We'll work in reverse order. Let's do a 2013 episode. So yeah, pick your favorite 2013 movies, obscure ones, popular ones, whether we've discussed them tangentially or not. We'll do a proper full-on retro review for whatever you pick. Let us know. You can also email thearkofe@gmail.com. And stay tuned for whatever we've got coming there. I think that is everything.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay. Mission it's not that show.
Oh.
For the ARK of E podcast, I've been Noah.
I've been Gavin.